Coming up on this episode of The Brain Drain Show.
Just so you know, we don't do skateboarding films, DJ films, or films about marijuana here. Cycling back through Borough Market after skating with his friends, and they then come across this terror attack. And Ignacio sees a lady being stabbed by these guys, gets his board, and he starts trucking the terrorist guy basically and fighting. What's this ingenious tracking device when you follow the skateboarders? I was like, it's a skateboard. And the Airwalk shoes were fucking weird, right? Yeah, this guy who worked for the magazine was like, he obviously thought there was a story there, right? Something in it. So he calls up a photographer who, lo and behold, I found out later, was Leo Sharp. I think Leo at the time was a bit like, what the fuck is this? And Wes, when he gets drunk, sometimes falls asleep, as you probably know. First go, I managed to nollie nose slide it, and Horsley got a sequence. Stan was like, fucking hell, man, I think that's the best thing I've ever seen. Because the guy is like creating a lot of drama. He's like, man, come on, like fucking snapping his board and all that shit. Totally straight, totally gay, loads of stuff in between, right? So he jumps up, grabs a steak knife, hacks his old boy off, and then jumps off a balcony. And I think that day, Danny Wainwright switch frontside flipped it. Will Ainley kickflip tail grabbed it. Who would have thought back then that I'd be sat here talking about it? But yeah, certain times in sponsored skateboarding, it really had the opposite effect of being stoked. I was like kind of gutted about quite a few pictures. If we're talking about Carter, I guess I need to say like that guy is like one of the rawest, realest skaters out there. Mackey's company, East, was like the realest of the real. That's who you want to skate for. You want to skate for a lifelong skater who lives and breathes skateboarding. And then like there were times when he would like break out of the psychiatric unit, go and get some weed and go skating. And then he'd be up for 3 days skating. It's just skate, skate, skate. So we didn't really know the extent of his illness. When he spoke, people listened, and when he skated, people watched. Exactly where I look, a little shooting star goes like that. And I was just like, you're fucking kidding me.
Good evening and welcome to another great episode of The Brain Drain Show with me, your trusty host, Forde Brookfield. Joined to my left is...
I'm just waiting for you. How are you going to describe me? Because you just described yourself as the host. Surely this is a joint effort.
My piece on the side, my side bitch, my side chick. It is Toby Batchelor.
Side chick.
Side chick.
Hi, Forde.
And joined to our
How are
left,
you today, Forde?
Yeah, not too bad.
Who's on the show today, Forde?
Fucking hell, he's taking the reins now. Joined to our left is a great skateboarder, great videographer.
The best nollie flip.
The best nollie flip. Well, we're going to get into the nollie antics.
I've seen him do one outside.
Because that's what everyone said, that he is the nollie king. So, without further ado, joined to our left is the one and only...
Tim Crawley.
Round of applause to the studio audience, please.
Big ups, both of you.
Awkward high fives, there we go.
Thank you for taking time off your busy BBC schedules to start.
Thank you so much
to
for
start
having me.
working on the Brain Drain documentary, which is going to be coming on BBC iPlayer very soon.
Exactly, little trailer there.
Fucking hell, I don't think many people watch that.
I don't know. I think it'd do quite well to do like a little piece on like Rollersnakes and the Brain Drain show and like stuff that. Or no, fuck Rollersnakes, just us. A piece on us.
Don't blaspheme like that in the house of the Lord.
Right, we could start off by chatting shit. So let's just jump straight into it.
In all seriousness, though, as soon as I said to you outside, I walked out. I was like, "There he goes." He was trying to know. Like, there he goes. I know that.
When I spoke to Wes at Rock Solid, I told Wes there'll be plenty of props to Wes in here. So within the first 2 minutes, Wes is the best.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I was like,
Absolutely.
throw me a question.
Yeah.
And he just put something like, talk about this nollie. And then he was like, talk about that nollie. Then he just put, talk about nollies in general.
No way, really?
And then Carter messaged me and he was like, talk about the nollie flip down here and the nollie flip rail, like nollie nose down here. So we'll get into being known as the nollie.
Off the nose.
Off the
He
nose.
knows what he's on about.
That's it. we'll get into the nollie chat.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's start in the beginning. So from Bristol, right?
Yeah, well, live in Bristol now.
Yeah.
Grew up in like some little villages in the West Country, middle of nowhere.
Called?
Like, between...
What are these villages called?
Right. So they're kind of between like Bath and Glastonbury. So that's the only way I can sort of describe it that people might know.
I was looking at Glastonbury the other day because that's where Louis Jones.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, but quite away from there and very rural. Where I lived was called Tunley. It's literally like a road, fields all around it, a butcher's and a post office. Not much else.
Well, that's
very
what you
beautiful.
need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're young, it's like, what am I supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And then the village down the road, where I went to primary school, funnily enough, is called Timsbury, right?
Nice.
And that's kind of where a few of my mates kind of learned how to skate, basically. A few of my mates and me learned how to skate. And I guess if we're talking about like how skateboarding came into my life and my first experience of it.
You can tell he's watched a couple of episodes because
He knows what's coming.
the question that comes after that is when did you first discover skateboarding and who was the early crew that you started with? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off all these early years questions because you probably
don't need it.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. So
Did you hear that? He's a big fan.
Yeah.
Fuck. Sorry.
Starstruck. No. So yeah, a couple of my mates had a skateboard, and we'd all watched Back to the Future, classic. Obviously,
Yeah.
right?
Don't get Toby started on it.
And right, so my mate has this, lives in his family home in the rolling hills of countryside in the West Country. There's a little hill that goes up it, and somehow we got into basically bumboarding down the hill, right, in little gangs like this and that. And then we start wrapping newspaper around our trucks and setting it on fire. So there was no actual stood up skating or tricks.
Yeah. We would have got on as kids because we did very similar things.
Fuck knows why we guess we're trying to do like, you know,
the Back to the Future, leaving the flames. Yeah.
And so we're like, as kids, all just like bombing down the hill, like sometimes a few of us on one board, this and that, trucks on fire, like just caning it down these like hills and then just coming to like a fucking pile at the end. And one time, like my mate's dad like lent me this like padded shirt to kind of keep me warm. And then
you set that on fire.
Yeah, we're going down, and I get up, and I'm like, "Oh fuck!" Like this fucking fireball, like on the back of his shirt, and we pull it up, and there's like a perfect circle.
Shit!
So that was like the first, I guess, experience of skateboarding. That was like, and it was like fun. That was it. It was just like,
you got to make a documentary about it called Trucks on Fire.
Man,
to go
with
like
you know what?
Streets on
it's
Fire.
only recently when I sort of like remembered it properly because I was chatting to my best mate Jay, and I was like, because that was who I did it with, another guy Sean. And we were like, fuck, yeah, that was like what we literally first did on skateboards. So then a bit after that, they started kind of skating properly. And like I said, there's not a lot to do around there. So yeah, we all got into skating, just skating like a little car park in Timsbury, skated like our primary school sometimes. And just like really got into it. And like obviously helped, there was like a little group of friends doing it. And we all just got like hooked, like really hooked. Mm-hmm. And then got a little bit... a little slice of like the industry in terms of like, I don't know, there was like something called Milk Skateboards that was around that someone had a t-shirt. Of course, there's no internet at that point. So like, I mean, don't think there was internet, but there was definitely no Instagram and all that stuff. But, and basically, yeah, we sort of like watched Trilogy was like our first skate video. And
that's an unusual one to be the first.
Yeah.
Incredible video.
Yeah. I just remember being sat in this like kind of little 80s living room, like watching it on VHS with a few mates and like, we're just like, whoa, obviously it's the first time we're seeing like proper tricks and stuff. And also Donut Duty, I think that was a Big Brother video. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
It was a Thrasher video, wasn't it?
Was it Thrasher?
I think it was.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah,
Thrasher,
and it's got like that funny skit with the cops running around and like all this stuff. Loads of funny stuff in there. And there's like amazing Levine McBride section.
Yeah.
With that tune, "Oh, good all the money in the world."
And, it is a Thrasher video, yeah.
Yeah, Thrasher video. So those two were like our main ones. And then like the Mouse Trilogy, Donut Duty, they were like our first videos.
It probably explains why the Nollie fascination.
100%.
Because that was when that was big coming in.
Yeah, exactly. All the Nollie switch stuff. It was like we loved like girl and chocolate skateboards.
Yeah.
And like Ronnie Krager was like a fucking god to us. It was like, I mean, of course, it's amazing.
Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we were heavily influenced by all that, and we just, I mean, the stuff we were skating was just like flat land, a couple of curbs. Then we'd like build some grind blocks, proper country living. We had a friend who like made like steam cars. He was like a welder and this and that. And he used to make us like grind bars, like angle iron grind bars. And then more country living. We at one point stole a fucking cow trough, like a metal thing they drink out of, flip it upside down.
I've done that.
Yeah, it's a perfect
it's
grind
a
block.
Fucking rad ledge.
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends lived on a farm.
Village hooligans.
Because I'm from like the middle of nowhere as well. But like
that was in the village paper, wasn't it?
No, but I remember his dad stormed in and just looked at him and he was just like so disappointed we'd just been sessioning a perfect ledge.
Yeah, it was.
They were really
amazing.
good for that.
And
yeah,
like, you know, some of my mates were doing like front crooks on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, it was amazing. And like, so yeah, lots of car parks, grind blocks, all sitting around watching skate videos. None of this kind of on your phone on your own type business at that point. And just sort of sitting around and like watching skate videos, probably getting baked, going out, just loving it day after day, night after night. And then like kind of went into secondary school, met some guys from a town that you'll only know the name of because there was a massive skate park there. But Midsummer Norton, you ever heard of that? Seen that park?
Yeah, I went to that park years and years ago. And when I first got there, it seemed like it was like just built on different levels. It was the first park of that scale size I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's like an 18-year-old. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, and it looks like Teletubby Land, basically. It's like,
It's
that's
got
what we
like-
used to call it.
It's got like castle
castle turrets
bits round it, and then we camped out there, and there's like wood chipping, like on a park there and stuff, and incredible park.
What's a fake castle called? Is it a folly?
I don't. God knows what it is, but I'm sure there's like 4 castle
100%
points built around it.
you could like fire some archers off that shit.
Yeah,
Like stuff that's made to look like a castle is called a folly.
and they're all open as well, so you can like go through them.
Yeah, but that part wasn't there when we were skating. That was like 10 years after I'd moved out of the town. But yeah, so I went to secondary school there. Again, like car parks, like the car park for that skate park, that was called the community centre, and there was like a gap about that big that we used to skate. That's where we took the cow trough.
Big sesh on the
oh my god,
cow
that thing was amazing.
trough.
I wish we still had it. Like
You probably get one.
Yeah, I mean, chuck it in the truck.
Fill it with concrete. Turn
Now
it upside
I'd
down,
be a
so it's
proper
more
criminal.
solid.
Though. When you're a kid, it's like
Yeah.
But so yeah, a lot of that, and then there was a Tesco's there. We used to skate, and we like I say, it was like day in day out. We'd skate there till it drop, and then like I remember at one point being so hyped about skating that I just couldn't. I was like so stoked when I got back. I like couldn't sleep. I was like, whoa, like,
I mean,
You said the same
I still have it. I wake up at night thinking,
it's so
I wonder
buzzing.
if you could do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Start
actually-
thinking about how people grab frontside airs.
Yeah.
And you're there like,
and how you hate crook shoves.
Yeah.
It plagues him. It absolutely.
That's
plagues
funny.
him,
Yeah, well, we used to have a bit of a.
no.
Didn't want too fond of that
the no
shit.
slide shove out that way plagues me. The crook shove, I'm warm into allowing it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. And actually, when I'm talking about like rural skating, there was a funny thing as well where like my best friend's like brother-in-law worked for a magazine called Adrenaline. I don't know if you've ever
I
seen
remember that. Yeah.
And we basically used to make. I guess this is how I got into filmmaking. We used to like obviously film each other skating as we do. It started off with like a big VHS camera, which you literally edit by like pushing stop start, on various tape decks.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah, exactly.
that.
And then we had like a mini DV camera, and we basically would make like little films, and we made like a little horror film, like when someone dies, their section comes up, and all this sort of stuff.
I used to do the same. I've spoken about doing the same thing.
I love similarities here.
Like when I was a kid, it was like it kind of started off doing little cheesy horror films.
Yeah,
and then it went into like horror film and skateboarding related things.
Like fucking Ketchup for Blood and God knows what else.
And like setting, for some reason I can remember there was this like, we did this like skatey horror film, and I was like chasing someone in a balaclava with like a wooden like hockey stick. And then it came to mind the other day, there was a bit where like the guy knocks me out, and then somehow I've got all this time to like wake up and spray the hockey stick in Lynx and then set the hockey stick on fire. Like the guy wouldn't have just got away of me doing 5 minutes of that. Yeah. And then it goes to like a little weird skating bit between. So it's nice to know that someone else did that. Because I've told Toby that and you've been like, what the fuck?
Funnily enough though, I used that video, which is fucking ancient. I used it to get into uni as part of my like show reel. Somehow they liked it. But yeah, so we like made these little films and stuff, and like, this guy who worked for the magazine was like, he obviously thought there was a story there, right? Something in it. So he calls up a photographer to come out and take pictures of us guys. We're like,
setting fire to your trucks and stuff.
Well, actually, we didn't get that, unfortunately. We should have done that. This was like maybe 4 or 5 years after that. So we were like proper skating, like ollie and cattle grids and shit. We didn't do that much, but like when this guy, so basically he got a photographer to come down, who lo and behold, I found out later, because I didn't know him at the time, but Leo Sharp.
Ah.
Yeah, and so in the time when Leo had his big ponytail and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Was he as jacked then as well?
Was, hench. Yeah, definitely.
He's always had real good Japan airs, hasn't it? What's the one where you kind of like twist it in front of you and pull it? He's got
like a mute or something.
Like off kickers. He used to do really good and he used to
be
a mute or something.
Never seen Leo.
I'll put a picture of Leo Sharp here.
So it's pretty mad because obviously met him properly a few years after. But yeah, so he comes down, he takes pictures of us all like, nose, I have a picture, nose grinding the cow, the block thing.
Yeah.
And
the cow trough.
Yeah, the trough, sorry, yeah. And then my mate had a picture of Ollie in this cattle grid, and like the run-up's fucking horrendous, like gravel and mud everywhere, but very rural, like, and it was pretty cool. And like they printed this article of, me and my friends, I've still got it somewhere. Like in the countryside.
You got to scan it in so I can.
Yeah, it's fucking right. It's pretty cool. And I think Leo at the time was a bit like, what the fuck is this? But like, I think he appreciated it for what it was as well. And yeah, so it was pretty mad to none of us were like, we didn't have any sponsorship or anything. We were just sort of kids having fun. And so yeah, that was pretty crazy. But
when did sponsorship and that kind of thing happen?
yeah,
And
wow.
what was the local shop?
Yeah.
Because I assume there wasn't a shop in the village. It would
Well,
have been the next closest town.
I got such a funny story about that, right? So, which is relevant to here. I basically, so we're talking quite a way on from those times. I moved into Bristol to study, to be a university student. Did like a media course. We're talking like, I think 99 or 2000. I started uni, and
What was the name of the course you did?
it was a weird fucking name, right? It was called time-based media, right? What the fuck does that mean?
What does that mean?
So, and I'll tell you what they think they told us it meant, which was like time-based media. So it's a narrative, so it's time-based, and you can tell a story either with video, radio, or interactive stuff, which at the time was DVD-ROMs. Don't you remember them?
The way you've just described it,
Yeah.
I just imagined it being played on a VCR in the
Yeah.
class, and it's like
Yeah.
that old voice of time-based media, and with all the titles coming up on screen.
A lot. Yeah, actually, the editing. I remember the guy showing us. I think it's Final Cut Pro at the time, and yeah, the graphics and titles were like those floating like speech bubbles or whatever.
Yeah,
else,
like
you know what I
coming
mean?
in.
And I do also remember starting university. The stuff I had as like a portfolio was like a lot of skating stuff, right? So some action of skating, some little stories, little short films we'd made, and they were like. And they obviously sort of thought there was something in what they'd seen because we'd put a little bit of thought into the sound and this and that. But they were like, just so you know, we don't do skateboarding films, DJ films, or films about marijuana here. Like it was
You're
like
shit. The three things I enjoy.
And I was like, that's clearly what you feel you have to say to students because like they want to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but lo and behold, when I made my graduation film, I'd learned a bit about documentary filmmaking. And I did this documentary that I think is still on YouTube, and it was basically about 3 skaters, some of which you all know the names of. So it was like one guy who was like coming up and was really fucking good and like hot property at the time and still is probably an amazing skater. But Dan Leech, do you remember him?
Dan Leech.
Fucking legend.
Homie.
Real cool dude. Lovely. I've been on loads of skate trips with him. I love that dude.
Where is he? Where is he?
So
St. Neots, he lived in, didn't he? Yeah.
he's still there, as far as I know.
I really
haven't
like
heard
him.
from him for probably 3 or 4 years, but I'd always get
He's so funny.
weird messages from him saying, "Can I have all my footage?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, dude, what's your address?"
Yeah.
And then a year
Nothing.
later, "Can I have my footage?"
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, what's your address?
He's-
And then
he
it went
cracked
on
me
like
up.
that for probably the last 15 years.
He's so funny.
Still not giving him his footage.
But yeah,
don't
so
know where it is
I
anymore.
randomly, I can't remember how I got to know him. I think it might have been through Hoax or something. I can't remember. But yeah, so it was him.
Yeah, he was on Hoax.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably it. And we basically had, so yeah, my idea was to tell her, like, take these 3 skaters to Paris on a filming trip with a photographer who was Sam Ashley. So this, I guess I'm skipping on a bit, but yeah, this is kind of relevant. So yeah, so there was 3 skaters, Dan Leech, Carl Vance.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you know that name. He was a skater from Ipswich. He'd been around for a while, like pretty established, real sick, lovely chap, one of my best mates now. And then there was a guy called Jack from Midsummer Norton, which is like my homie. He's a really good skater, also played rugby, but he was like the unknown. So it was like, my idea was like, let's take these 3 guys on a trip and like show their stories from 3 different viewpoints. Sounds amazing, but it's just quite, when I watch it now, I'm like, oh, okay. But you know, it was kind of cool. Like we followed their story. My mate Jack, unfortunately, broke his fucking ankle trying to board slide this rail in Paris, which people have probably seen in videos. It's like a black one down about 6 or 7 stairs on a street. And yeah, he just fucking broke his ankle, which sucked for him, but it was kind of good for the movie because like I followed him.
Always think.
It's not worth it then,
Bless him, and he's much better now. He's still got screws in his ankle, but
Jeez.
and I followed him into the hospital. We did some filming, and we're talking, and then this French doctor comes in and tells us to stop filming, and he goes, "Oh, mais oui, parce que je..." I'm like, "Fuck, dude, you can talk French." And he's like, anyway, so it made for a good documentary to show that.
Yeah.
And then Dan just like smashed it, and Carl kind of did his thing as well. But they were all from like different sort of walks of life, so it was kind of cool. Anyway, to the point, the tutors, when they saw my graduation film, after telling me I couldn't do skateboarding films, they were like, "Whoa!" And they gave it an award, and they were like, "What's this ingenious tracking device when you follow the skateboarders?" I was like, "It's a skateboard."
So, I can't believe you went so far as to have your friend break an ankle.
Yeah. It's
to
just
the
like
piece.
it was mad, and like so that was a real cool thing. But in terms of so we're going back to I guess my first experience of sponsorship. So I moved into Bristol, already been skating in Bristol quite a lot because we basically from this little village we used to get this bus every Saturday into Bristol. And I remember the first time we came in, we ended up, we didn't really know where the spots were. We probably hadn't seen the spots either, right? Because no internet and all that jazz. Probably seen skate mags a bit. And we ended up at Little Lloyds, that spot. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. Amazing spot back in its day. And we're just like, we can't really skate it, but we're just sort of enjoying it. And then there's these two guys. One of them was called Diggory, who I think used to work in Rollermania. And there was another chap. And they were like real East Coast sort of style street skaters. And they like took us under their wing, showed us the spots, took us around the corner, showed us like Norwich Union, which is like this kind of like bank with like a rail on top, which you've probably seen. Which Wainwright does some amazing line on in like.
As if you're watching footage of Louis Jones constantly flipping over it.
It's still there, like that's it's almost gone, but it's still there. So they take us around there, and for the first time ever, I see someone do a wall ride. This guy's like wall riding this little bit, and it's like amazing. You're just like, wow, you're discovering skateboarding. So so we follow them. They then take us to Lloyd's, which again we'd never seen, and I'm like, well, I couldn't believe that people were grinding the ledges. I didn't know you could grind stuff that high, right? And so we're like this group of like kids from the countryside, just like completely buzzing off these guys showing, and that's the amazing thing about skating. That happens, right? I've done that to younger skaters, and that you pass on that education, that love, and all that stuff. So we see this, and then Flynn Trotman's there, right? And I got no idea who that is, but at that point, the guy's like, he's like sponsored by so and so, and I was like, sponsored? What's that mean? Like, and he was like, oh, he gets like a box of free clothes every month, and like this and that. And we were like, whoa, and like Flynn's like trying like I think like a fakey sort of frontside nose slide or something off the second block, and it just completely blew our minds. So anyway, fast forward on a little bit, and I've been skating in Bristol a lot, really locked into skating, like fucking loving it. And filming ourselves a lot, so that kind of we pushed ourselves, skating all the schools around, and so I guess there's a filmer in Bristol called Lee Jordan. I don't know if you ever heard him, but he was the fucking don at filming. He was like I still watch his stuff, like his best stuff today, and it's like easy out there. It's like he was like the Dan McGee of Bristol, right? He was fucking amazing, and I sort of like I don't know. I think we sort of naturally just hooked up. I've been trying something at Lloyd's, and he sort of was like, oh, can I film it? And like, went from there sort of thing.
What was he filming on at the time?
So he, I think at start, he was on like a mini DV camera, but it was like, I think at first he didn't quite have a fisheye, and then he did. And it was like, but that was quite short-lived. I think it was like a TRV 950, that Sony one, I think.
Yeah, I had one of those.
But then he got a VX 1000 and a Mark 1 fisheye,
yeah,
right, which is the badass setup, obviously.
Yeah.
And like we're filming more and more, and then he starts filming with that thing, and like I'm just like loving it, just like wow, this guy's filming me. I'm sort of pushing myself, and then he's like, oh, do you want to come back and watch the footage? So I go back to his house where he's living with his parents because he's kind of looking after them, and he's got like a sort of bedroom little place with like a little computer and stuff. And then so I go back there. Of course, we're all pretty Johnny Blazed, and he then puts on the footage, and I'm like, whoa, it like looks like I'm on 4-on-1 or something. I was just like absolutely blown away.
That's what was good.
Episode.
Yeah, like that when that Mark 1 VX1 setup.
Yeah.
It was like now it looks like the videos you're watching. It looks like again hyped on. It's made it look so good.
It was incredible, and he was really good at editing as well. So he did all the like, he put in little film burns in, and he just had these wicked like sort of hip hop instrumentals. And I remember that so clearly. It was like I was like I couldn't have been buzzing more. I was just like wow, and obviously that then hypes you up to go and film more shit. So anyway, like I'd been going out with him quite a bit, meeting a few other good skaters and like pushing ourselves. And then I think, right, so this is bizarre, me being here today, because like I think I saw an advert in Sidewalk or something saying send sponsor me tapes to this address, right? Mm-hmm. So I send a sponsor me tape to here. To Rollersnakes.
Nice.
Right?
Oh, amazing.
Right? And it's like my first slice of, so I think it's mostly to do with the fact that Lee Jordan was able to make a really cool little edit of me. And it was, skating was all right and this and that. Anyway, so I sent it up, and I can't remember the guy's name. I think it might have been Paul.
Paul Haynes, yeah.
Is
the
that
owner.
Because you mentioned it, so that's, so he, it might have been him, it might have been someone else. But I kind of feel for them in a way, because it's quite funny what I'm about to say. So I didn't know much about sponsored skateboarding and this and that. But anyway, so to get back to, he basically saw the tape, called me up, and was like, yeah, I really like your edit. We'll send you some boards and some clothes. And I was like, wow, fucking hell, really? Like, amazing. So he sends me like some STN.
Yeah,
boards.
STM, that was the
STM,
brand.
sorry,
yeah.
And they were really cool boards and stuff. And then like, I didn't really know much about sponsored skateboarding. Like, I hadn't really seen that much stuff. I didn't know what you were supposed to do. I didn't know, you should try and get in a magazine and all that sort of stuff. So I'm getting this free stuff and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then there's like two kind of key things that happened. The first one, he like was like, oh, there's a comp up here in Derby at the skate park that had all the blue stuff. I can't remember what it's called, Storm or something.
Yeah,
Derby
Storm.
Storm.
Yeah. And I go to that and I go up on the train just by myself, and it's quite a long train journey. I don't really know what to expect. And I remember distinctly rolling up to the park, and like comps going on, they're like warming up and stuff. And I can see through this little doorway, and I see who I now know was Craig Smedley. And he's like frontside nollie heel flips, tail store on the quarter pipe. And I was just like, whoa, like, how the fuck? What the fuck? I'd never seen anything like that, right?
And he can still do that trick.
I know he can.
Much every go.
Yeah.
Meadows was here at the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He's still
Big up
so
Meadows.
What a fucking legend, that
good.
guy. No, he's so funny, that guy. But so I was on a few trips with him a few years down the line. Yeah, he was a real character, good guy.
Yeah.
But so I'm like instantly like feeling a bit inferior in a way, because like, I don't know, I had a weird kind of time. So I go into the comp, I'm trying to be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna skate, I'm gonna try and do some stuff. And I just got more and more, couldn't really land much, got more and more intimidated. And it was a shame, because it was the first time that I'd sort of felt intimidated about skateboarding, because up until that point it's all fun, it's all like
yeah, and you've been doing it with your crew and you were comfortable with that.
And it's a thing you love, and like it's like, and then all of a sudden I had these kind of awkward feelings of like, fuck, like I don't know if I'm good enough to do it, or I don't know if I can land this, or I don't like all these people watching. And I remember, they call people's names out, right? So my name was down on the thing to be called. And I remember like being at the back and being like, I think they called my name, and I just like sort of reclused into the shadows, like, oh, fucking hid one way or another. And I didn't like enter. And then just sort of skated a bit. I think I did one trick. Like I remember like tray flipping this kind of gap that was about that big on two banks, which, that's one thing I took away from there. But I just felt like, ooh, that was a bit scary. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit weird. And anyway, so that happened. Then I get back to Bristol, and then like the guy from here like calls me every now and then, see how I'm getting on. And I've still got these STM boards. And he sent me some like clothing, like these hoodies as well, which I can't remember the brand, but it had like porn in the title.
Porn
like,
Star.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I only know that because we found a box of the original hoodies when we were clearing out.
Yeah.
With the tags on it. Porn Star blanks.
So I'm there like, just like, okay, cool, I'll wear this stuff. And then my dad's like, it's a bit of a strange hoodie, Tim. I'm like, oh, okay. And then like, so the guys, I talked to the guy on the phone again. He's like, hey, yeah, do you reckon you could like try and get some photos or something? Obviously, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? And I was like, yeah, photos? What, like take some? Or and he's like, no, get someone to take some pictures of you and like, and I was like, oh, cool, man, yeah, wicked. I didn't know really what he meant. So he means go and hook up with someone like Horsley or something. Yeah. I didn't know those guys at that point. So I'm like, Dad, this guy wants me to get some pictures of me. So I phone up my dad and I'm like, you come and take some photos of me skating? So I go to into Bristol with my dad, who has no idea how to take skate photos. He can take pictures of nice things, but he doesn't know how to take skate photos. So I go to London Life with him, just me and my dad. I'm there like trying to kickflip the stairs right there. And I think I did actually make it, but like he's just got this old school camera. He's just taking these like happy snappy pics of me. And I look at them and I'm like, cool, man. So then I sent up like the actual photos in a little wallet up here to the guy, and I think he must have got them and just gone like, what the fuck? Like, obviously looking back now, it's like, of course that is not what he meant. And I think shortly after that, I stopped getting stuff, and that, it's cool.
Because what year would that have been?
Yeah, so I think that was probably like like either 99 or 2000. So it was kind of before I got proper sponsored.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was quite a funny, bizarre experience. And then like, I just kind of went back to just skating, fun, this and that. And then a little bit more down the line, I can't remember. I was trying to think. Yeah, this is it. So, God, yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. So, so Carl Vance was in Bristol, living in Bristol, and I'm skating Lloyds a lot, filming with Lee Jordan. Still loving it. Really kind of enjoying myself. And I'm down at Lloyds skating, and Carl Vance is there with Ben Rodriguez, who'd been down visiting him. Ben Rodriguez.
From Ipswich,
yeah, so of playing fields, and he was a really nice
Playing
guy.
fields, just want to say.
Incredible video.
Yes, one of the best. Greatest ever, one of the best soundtracks, so many memorable sections, like his included with whatever it was. Yeah. And you know, you watch that section.
How did that music go again?
Sounds like, you know, when Jim Carrey's talking about Cannibal Corpse. He's going.
I'm trying to remember the actual tune, but so obviously watch Ben Rodriguez section. He looks like he's like a gnarly dude, but he's also really good at tech skate, like, quite technical as well and stylish. Like really good skater. Anyway, so they're down there, and they like for some reason I think I was trying to like switch nose grind revert on the block or something, and like they thought I was Spanish or something for some reason, right? And they were like, "Do you speak English?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course I do." Like you know, like a fucking farmer. And then they started to film me, and then Carl Vance, like legend that he was like, they obviously saw something in me, and they were like, they were sponsored by Hoax, obviously, Ipswich, Colchester, all that crew at the time. And so bizarrely, one of my first proper sponsors was like Hoax skate shops, which I really appreciated and like had a wicked time with those guys. And I think around a similar time, I started to get stuff from Shiner. He would give me hardware, Lucky bearings, Lucky skateboards as well.
I remember you having the Lucky tie. Did you have an ad for Lucky or something?
Yeah, bizarrely. I remember that. Yeah, I don't know. Like it was, you know, obviously it's just like a flow through a distributor. Yeah, like hardware, Lucky stuff, this and that. Hubba wheels, I remember. And yeah, so that's when I fully was properly sponsored, had loads of product, and was like locked in a bit more with like the photographers. And
so was that around sort of like early 2000s time?
Yeah.
I just seem to, that was when, I mean, Shiner have been hooking up people for such a long time, but I remember being around a few people who were getting hookups from Shiner at that time, and they were giving away a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, like flogging stuff on, I guess I didn't really, at that point, it was more when I was getting stuff off Osiris a bit further down the line, when it just had like stacks of stuff, and I was like, oh, I could probably get a bit of pocket money out of this. So that's when I started, you know, flogging off a bit of product. But yeah, I was like totally hooked up with stuff, was enjoying it, going out taking pictures and all this sort of stuff. And actually, I think a shoe sponsor that I got around then, like a weird one. So this is how I met Mark Munson. Again, like I sent him a sponsor me tape. I don't know how I, you know, got hold of him or had that thought, but sent him a sponsor me tape, and he got me on this spin-off of Airwalk, right, called Genetic. Yeah, I don't know if any of you remember those shoes. They were very short-lived.
Dan Leech was on that.
Yeah, of course, Leechy. That's how I met him. Yeah, so Dan Leech was on them. Another guy from Ipswich called Lee Blackwell. He was
big up Lee Blackwell.
Yeah, he was either on them or Airwalk. And yeah, we all went on a trip to Poland. So there's like me, Munson, Horsley, Lee Blackwell, Dan Leech.
I've heard Dan Leech stories from this, but tell me your take on it.
I mean, it's my first skate trip abroad.
Yeah.
And it was fucking amazing, to be honest with you. And like, I'd never met Munson before. I don't think I'd met Horsley before, but they were wicked, man. I mean, them two together, like very funny, lots of pissing around, lots of funny stuff. And I just remember like, I remember getting there, and I think I had the Airwalk shoes, and the Airwalk shoes were fucking weird, right? They were like really bulky, a bit like Osiris, but then some of the laces were like fucking cheese wire, like so thin, like really weird shoes. But I was very chuffed to be getting free stuff. So
yeah,
and obviously a trip to Poland. So I think we went to.
Why did they go to Poland on that?
Well,
what was the reason?
There was a comp,
right?
Okay. Or a demo or something that we went to, and we got so we got there, and I just remember like sleeping in these little like kind of camping beds in this little hostel, like all together in the same sort of room, like probably getting drunk and this and that. And like I just remember it feeling like real budget but real fun. And like the two guys, Horsley and Munson, I think that was the kind of start of like, I don't know if those guys know that like Horsley, all the sidewalk guys, all this and that, they were like, they weren't trying to be, but they were like our role models. They were like the adults, you know, for us young skater kids who were getting taken around. And I remember really looking up to those guys and I had a really good trip. So another funny thing, well, it's not funny, but Dan Leech said to me, we found this hubba with a little kink in it. And like, I was really into the nollie nose slides then. So I think first go, I managed to nollie nose slide it, and Horsley got a sequence. And I was just like, fucking stoked. Dan was like, fucking hell, man, I think that's the best thing I've ever seen. Like, and I was just like, oh, wow, thanks, Dan. And then he's there doing shit. And I'm like, well, I think that's pretty good, Dan.
Yeah.
But it started off well, that trip. It was like, I nailed the trick, da-da-da. And then, few days go on and we end up at like a comp or a demo. I think it was a comp and we had to do a demo or something. I was having a good skate and then I just fucking backside nollied this hip, landed, and some kiddie just happened to be in the landing and I went smack on my thigh with him and it just fucking killed. Like it didn't break anything, but I had a mental bruise, total dead leg for about 3 or 4 days. And I was like out for like almost the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
But we had a good time. We got drunk, partied a lot. Dan and Lee were sort of killing it. Lee was like jumping off loads of stuff, obviously, and Dan was just like, powerhouse. And then we got to, I think, the second to last day or the last day, and I was like, fucking hell, I want to get some more tricks. Like, this is, I'm in Poland. We'd actually got to Warsaw by that point, so there was like marble stuff a lot, like really cool spots. And I basically bought like the strongest painkillers I could find, which I probably just ibuprofen or something, but I had about 10 of them. And actually in their neck, like 2 beers. So don't do this at home, kids. That's not a good idea. But somehow like the pain had almost gone then anyway. And on that day, I just like, I like went for it basically. And I had a really good skate. And I really, like Munson filmed it one. I would like love to see the footage, but I don't know if he's still got it. But yeah, I got a few more tricks, like ollied over a big wall, switch crook, this kind of high ledge thing. And I actually tray flipped this gap, which was a bit like the ones you see on Mouse, where there's like you're on a ledge and there's another ledge, and like I was in pure pain going up to it, but I like somehow made it, and it was like and Horsley got a sequence of that as well, but I don't think they were like in the article. There was like, yeah, there was too much of you, so we had to kind of leave some stuff out. So it was a good trip in that sense. That I got some. I was really stoked.
Yeah, that lovely noise, Toby. That is today's show sponsor. Toby, take it away.
Today's episode is supported by Primate Tools. Primate
Tools have just dropped this new ratchet tool, which is insanely good. It has an ergonomically shaped stainless steel frame and a high-impact composite handle.
It has all the sockets for your skateboard, but also features a grip tape file, a bearing pusher, and most importantly, it's got a ratchet. Sorry.
It's a great multifunctional tool that allows you to adjust axle nuts, change bearings, mounting hardware, and the kingpin nut right on top of the truck.
The all-steel ratchet system has a reversible axle kingpin socket and Phillips head and Allen key wrench that pressure fits into the side of the tool when not in use.
It's auto-patented, which means you can only get this brilliant quality from Primate Tools, and they are available now at rollersnakes.co.uk. So Toby, let's wind your nuts in and go back to the show now.
How do you wind your nuts in?
I'll show you.
Back to the show. I heard from that trip, Munson told me a story about Dan, that you guys went out for pizza one night. And, and Dan, like Munson was like, what do you want, Dan? And Dan was like, I don't know. And he had to call his wife to find out what he normally had on pizza.
I know that story too, yes. Someone fucking...
Which is fucking brilliant. Also, random one that Munson told me years and years ago about it, but I don't know whether you were on that trip.
Yeah.
But do you ever remember going to a school over here and kickflipping a roof gap, or with Dan maybe? Maybe you weren't on it, but anyway, it turns out that was my secondary school in my random middle of nowhere town.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I've been there. We went there on this Airwalk trip and Dan did a kickflip off this roof gap. I know exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, because, I mean, we didn't do much, because obviously geographically I was quite far away from them back in the UK, so I still got quite a bit of shoes off them and stuff, and I didn't sort of physically meet up much more apart from that trip. But yeah, it was a wicked trip. And like, the years that followed, I spent a lot of time with Horsley, particular, taking photos. And I think he's one of my favourite guys to shoot photos with because he was just funny. Always up
here
for
at the weekend.
I saw. I keep seeing bits of him. And he's a great photographer and just a really fun guy to be around. And he's like hard as nails as well, without being like Mr. Hardman. He's just, you're in safe hands. You know what I mean? Like people are going to fuck with you. But yeah, so that was amazing. That trip. So
how long did the genetic Airwalk thing last?
Yeah, not that long. I think I was sort of skating for them, and I think actually maybe the shoes kind of went out of circulation or something. Yeah. And then I just started skating. I think Ez shoes, or like just buy my, buy my own shoes, which was cool because I got to choose them. And yeah, like things kind of carried on for a bit, and then I got on Osiris shoes, right? Which
through Matlaw?
Yeah, which is a blessing and a curse.
Right. Tell us
in
about
some
that
ways. Then. Well, I mean, so I'll tell you how it happened because it was quite funny. So there was a little period in Bristol where like people kept coming up to me going, "Oh, I heard you did this, or I heard you did that, or whatever." So I was like, "Oh, I'm just skating, but like I'm feeling like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, a bit of
The buzz.
a bit of a buzz, you know. It was relatively short lived, but you know, it existed for a little bit. But you know, that was really cool. And then sort of certain rumors were circulating. Oh, so and so wants you on this and this and that, and I was like, oh, all right, you know, whatever. And then I distinctly remember being in a nightclub in Bristol called The Level, which is like just behind Park Street. It's not there anymore, but it's an amazing nightclub we used to go to. And you could sort of see out over the city. We knew all the bar staff. Really good fun. Anyway, so Matt Law and like a lot of the people I knew at that point were sort of friends of people who worked at projects or worked at projects distribution, which is where Matt kind of run things from. And I was like, yeah, in there. And then this guy's like chasing me up the stairs whilst I got a beer in my hand. He's like, Crawley, Tim Crawley. He's like, right, I want you to skate for Osiris. And I was like, oh, all right. Yeah, cool. Okay. And then he was like, I think it was either then or I think at the same time he was like, yeah, and we've got like Minute Skateboards. We've got a brand that we're going to do. And like the amount of product that he was offering me, I was just like,
what was it?
So I remember getting like 5 pairs of shoes every month almost. And
Fucking hell.
yeah, sometimes every 2 months. But obviously Osiris like had a lot of money back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was
they were
super
killing
popular.
it.
Yeah, God knows why. But maybe the D3s or the expensive
100%
shoes.
the D3.
Yeah.
Must have
Like
been.
super expensive. And obviously they appealed outside of skateboarding to certain people. But yeah, so I was getting like, I think it was either five pairs of shoes. It was like around a month, like 5 pairs of shoes and then 5 skateboards as well, right? So I had like stacks of stuff and like the Minutes boards were really nice. Like I skated 7.5 back then. And I found an Osiris shoe that I liked. It was always like the more stripped back one. So there was like a J Adams shoe that was like kind of suede and it was quite nice. Didn't have much padding. So if I wanted to jump off stuff, there was another shoe. I can't remember what. But yeah, so then I got on, Osiris and Minute and that was cool. Like,
who was on Minute when it started then? You, Dan Leech?
Yeah, well, it's the actual team, like Minute never really amounted to that much, unfortunately. It really could have done. Like the team, like I'm not talking about me here, but I'm talking about like, you know, there's like, so Dan Leech, Chris Gibbs from Wales, like Cardiff, like one of the best skaters I've ever seen. Like the manual skills, the tech, the style, the grace, the fucking kick flips, the nollie flip nose wheelies, just incredible skater and like really fun dude. So him and so Chris Gibbs, Dan Leech, obviously Paul Alexander as well on there, like the Don. Who else? Throughout as it went on, obviously Snadden, right? Who you guys, you know Snadden.
Big
amazing.
up Snadden.
Yeah, amazing skater.
Incredible skateboarder.
Like,
back then he was like amazing, but like a bit of a sort of young, amazing skater. And then when he was in Bristol and he was like this young man, like big strapping, strong, athletic guy, he was just, I mean, he was incredible anyway, but like at the Dina, he were just like the flip tricks were just like off the wedge then over the hip. And like everybody was just sat at the top under a tree going, whoa, just like fucking hell. So anyway, he was on. And then a bit further down the line, something I'm super happy about is that Rob Selly was, I don't know if anyone knows this, but Rob Selly was on Minute for a little bit.
Minute for a minute.
Bob Jelly, yeah.
He was here Saturday as well.
Was he? Fucking dude.
Yeah,
I only met him a few times.
Selly.
Fucking,
We were like,
what a legend.
we were like tickling him, just like, come on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, that'd
Come
be
on
good.
the podcast. And someone said to me, they were like, Selly's here. And I was like, I kind of just looked over the crowd because it was the vault roll, so it was busy.
Yeah.
And I like looked over and I was like, there he is.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, still got the baggiest trousers on up
Totally.
to his knees.
Yeah.
His t-shirts, 15XL.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
you can see a silhouette of him and just know that it's him.
Exactly,
and he looked like a silhouette with
Yeah.
like the shit that he had on.
So I was like, to have him on the team, I only went on like one filming trip to Malmo with him and then one trip around the UK, like a big tour in a van with him. And I was just so fucking stoked to be on the same team as someone who, when I was like 15, I was watching like, was it Mixed Media, the first Blueprint video?
Yeah, the Mixed Media video.
Yeah, and Bob Selly's on there, like switchback tail, shove it off the second block at Lloyds, and that was like God knows how long ago now, like 30 years ago, 25, 20 years ago, something like that.
A long
time ago, you know, and
very
like,
ahead of
and it just turns
crowd.
out he's a fucking geezer as well.
Yeah.
He's like really funny, really like
really nice.
Yeah, really lovely chap, and like. So I went on a couple of tours with him. So he was on, and Dylan Hughes as well. Obviously, he was like amazing.
Recently followed the podcast.
He's great. He's a good,
Dylan's sick.
Nice chap as well. And you know, from the valleys, like you know, got himself into fucking amazing skater, especially these days. So the team was like pretty good bunch of skaters. But it was just the sort of thing where we didn't really have like a proper filmer, like someone like Lee Jordan. Lee Jordan did film some Osiris stuff and the Osiris tours that came to Bristol and all that. And
it's such a vital time that you need a filmer.
Yeah, you need someone who knows how to. And I don't, like, so Matt did a lot of the filming, and like Matt is a lovely dude, and he can film and this and that, but like it wasn't quite the sort of standard you kind of need for like a really. But that, it's not his fault. He was trying to do a million things at once, and he's a good dude. But
has he always been tied in with Osiris, Matt Law, or did he come and go? Because he's back there now.
Yeah. I think he back then he was working at projects and like was leading on Osiris basically, like running things, and was doing a fucking good job. And like there was a lot of money involved. I think
I'd like to get him on and get him on the podcast and talk.
Yeah, he's a character. He's a funny, real good dude. And obviously, I'm very grateful to the opportunities he gave me. But yeah, it was just something a little bit disjointed, and the fact that there was a lot of money going around that kind of came from Osiris. A lot of the tours they didn't seem that focused on the skating. It was like, what's the fucking best restaurant we can go to, which is lovely, but it didn't really feel like the skating was the main priority. And they would sort of moan at you, or not moan at you, but kind of be like, yeah, get in the mags, we'll get you photo incentive. And like, I, for one, never got a single penny of that. Even when I was on various, I got like a cover and then a contents and this.
Well, you can't shoot a sequence at a restaurant, can you?
No, exactly.
Did you invoice them for it?
No, not really. I wasn't that sharp on it. I was still in disbelief. I never fully believed that you could get money for skateboarding. That was one thing. When I was definitely a bit younger, I was like, and actually in that sort of era as well, I didn't know that people could get paid for skateboarding. I just didn't know that. I didn't have a concept of it, So I was just like, cool, free stuff's good. I'm not complaining. I got a lot of free stuff from them. So yeah, those years were cool. I mean, I went on a lot of trips, like got taken around a lot, met some quite, high profile Osiris skaters.
Did you ever hang out with Josh Kasper?
Not personally, no. I remember being on a tour, seeing him. I think when I was like on the fringes, and I mean, fucking hell, I've got some amazing footage. I don't know if I posted it on Instagram a while back, but I've got some wicked footage that I think either Lee or Matt filmed, because when I made Paul Alexander's documentary, I basically got footage from all over to do with Paul, but there was obviously loads of other stuff in there. And there's these tapes where Josh Kasper's in Bristol, and he's on like, I'm on tour, I'm trying to make tricks, but he's got the funniest voice as well. And he's like, there's one clip where he's like repeatedly trying this pop shove it, and then a hard flip down this set in London. And Horsley's at the bottom of the stairs, and Matt Law's there, and Horsley's like, fuck, come on. And like Matt's like taking the piss out of this guy, basically. Not like too horrible, but just joking, because the guy is like creating a lot of drama. He's like, man, come on, like snapping his board and all that shit. And then like there's this hilarious bit, which, I say hilarious, but poor old Mr. Kasper, who obviously was in Trilogy, one of my favorite videos, and is a legend in skateboarding, especially for that section. He's there, like, there's this kind of square rail that if it was in the States, he'd probably be all over it straight away. It'd probably be smooth run up. It'd probably grind. But that's not the case in Bristol. And he's like rolling up to it, getting pissed off in his funny sort of squeaky American voice. And he's like, man, fucking come on. Like, and he's like psyching himself up. And then he like sort of just stands on it, does like a sort of drop in, and that doesn't even grind. And he's like psyching himself up. And then he goes for it and absolutely stacks it, like fucking like sticks, goes down, hits his ribs, and he's like, wah, like screaming. And like, it's like, it's funny to watch, but it's a bit cruel. But
is Josh Kasper on Instagram?
I don't think he is, because I tried to tag him.
I'd love to know what he's up to now.
Yeah. We should get him on here. Hopefully he won't hear this, but never mind.
Okay.
Exactly. It's not, it was just
happened.
It happened, and it's like,
I like the impression. That's good.
Yeah.
I never heard what he speaks like, so now I know.
I'll post it again soon, actually. But it's just super funny. But yeah, they like, went on some tours. We went to, like I say, went to Malmo. And that was wicked. That was like Malmo, as you probably know, is an amazing. I mean, these fucking hell, I want to go to Skate Love Park there now. You know what I mean? That bit. But yeah, we went to Malmo and we met. There's a skate shop there called Street Lab, I think. There's a really lovely chap called Freddie who runs it. And I got a really nice insight into life in Malmo, sort of Swedish Scandinavian culture and all this kind of stuff. How it's really cool. And we met Daniel Todorovic, who calls himself Jugger, who's now got a different surname. Stankovic, I think, is his surname. Really, I don't know if you know the guy I mean. He's basically kind of tall, used to kind of be like Nike TM, but is a fucking incredible skater, like incredible. And yeah, I remember seeing him just doing like the best stuff, like fakey tray switch manny on stuff, and then like amazing frontside flips. Just had the best style, and just had a really good time, kind of getting to know him. Made some friends there. Another guy called Peter. And yeah, and I had an alright tour. I didn't really do loads apart from Nollie flipped a gap right on the last day or something, but no, switch flipped, I think. But Kingy was taking pictures with us. Kingy's a wicked dude, and always fun. So that was like a good experience from that era. And yeah, Rob Selly was on that trip. Did fucking rad like backside Nollie flips over the hips and stuff. And actually, yeah, since then I've been back to Malmo quite a few times, and yeah, it's fucking wicked city. Yeah. But yeah, they were good times. So that was. Yeah.
What happened to Minute in the end? Was it just budgets?
Yeah, well, I think
I can't really remember how it all unfolded.
Yeah, it was just like around for a bit, and I mean, you know, I had they sort of had these ads that they put in Sidewalk where there's like one of us stood there and there's a picture of us, and that's when I had a picture like Nollie flipping Lloyds, and like so this kind of I guess ties into. Sponsored skateboarding was a lot of fun for me, but it was also quite a mixed bag. I didn't have the greatest time a lot of the time. Like it sort of was quite strange in some respects, and I'll tell you why. And this photo illustrates it a bit. Basically, like obviously to Nollie flip Lloyds, I was like so fucking stoked, like beyond stoked to do that. And it took a few days actually.
Were you the first person to do it?
I think so.
I've been told so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Carter. Yeah, both Carter and Wes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Did talk about being the first person.
So that's
Nollie
verified,
flip.
right?
Yeah.
BBC verified, no, but
yeah,
verified.
Blue tick at the side.
Yeah, exactly.
So it took you a few days to do those.
Yeah, it took. So I actually did it twice. So it took a couple of sessions, like. Yeah. And I think at the time I was in sort of. So I say those skate videos we used to watch like Donut Duty and Trilogy, but we also used to watch Welcome to Hell a lot. So that made us want to jump off stuff. So I was getting quite into drops and this and that. And Lloyds is great because you can, when you're in your jumping off phase, you can start at the bottom, start the first one, go to the second one, try your flip, try it off the top. And if you can do it off the top, chances are if you go fast enough, you could do it off the thingy. And I was like, I didn't have any like physical fear of like my legs and all that jazz at the time, as I do now. And I'd skated Lloyds a bit. I'd like nollied it, done a few other things, and I'd got used to it. And I was like, fuck it, I reckon I could, nollie flip it. But it was the length was the hard thing. It was like, So anyway, I just like I think I tried it one full session, didn't quite make it, and my legs were fucked. And then so I had to wait till maybe a week. Yeah, a week or so later. And then, I went back, and luckily enough, Dikey was there filming. Some other guy. And I think that day, Danny Wainwright switched frontside flipped it. Will Ainley kickflip tail grabbed it. Will Ainley, one of the best UK skaters ever. Trust me. I'm so gutted he can't skate anymore. I think he's got a bad back or something. Yeah. But, yeah, and I like...
Also, kickflip tail grab.
Yeah, mad.
That's such
I think it's in format, not form. It's in one of the...
I seem to remember seeing it.
Yeah, it's quite like...
Yeah.
Mad. He just sort of touches the back like that, but really cool. But yeah, so it's a good day, and yeah, Dikey was there, and he's there with his, fisheye at the bottom, and I keep trying. I sort of landed on a few, and then one I just sort of landed, and I was able to like not fall off. If you know what I mean, when you like take the impact, you've got to like push yourself back up a bit, and I just sort of landed, and I was like, no fucking way. And I think in the footage I'm there going, what? Like so chuffed.
Yeah,
and like,
too right
great.
As well.
Oh yeah,
fucking nollie flip down Lloyds, isn't it?
I was so pleased, and like, I mean, it's mad. So many people still to this day come up to me, and not so many people, the odd person comes up to me in the pub.
So many.
Yeah. If you count it over the years, but yeah, they still come and talk to me about it, and it's like so rad. I mean, there's a guy. I don't know if you saw video that came out of Bristol recently, which was all filmed at Lloyds on a VX 1000. Yeah.
Is it by Philly Parker?
That's it. Yeah, by Phil. And there's a guy who has a really good section in that who's I think they call him Doty or Dotty. There's two brothers in Bristol. One of them's called Mungo, and this other guy Dotty. They don't. One of them's kind of like ginger curly hair. The other one's got like brown hair. Anyway, they're both wicked skaters, lovely chaps. And he's gotten this board signed, and he's like, oh, it's all about Lloyds. He calls me over, and he's like, oh, because of your Nollie flip, like, I saw it as a kid. I want you to sign the board. And I was
That's
like,
rad.
And yeah, as an old man, you know, you're like, wow, that's so cool. So yeah, who would have thought back then that all these years later, I'd be sat here talking about it. But yeah,
that's skateboarding for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was like, yeah, so chuffed. Just rolled away. Thankyou filmed it, so I had the footage. And actually, that wasn't the one that went in the ad. So yeah, Minute wanted like a double page ad, which amazing, you know, cool opportunity. But so Horsley was there taking a sequence, and Matt Law was there filming. So this is like a second. So I go to try it again.
Yeah.
Matt's in like a little director's chair, sat at the bottom of Lloyd's, just like this, like long lens in it. And Horsley's like, you know, quite far back doing a sequence. And like, yeah, I try it. It didn't take that long, and I sort of landed another one, which I'd love. Again, I haven't seen that footage. I'd love to see that because it's a bit of a different one. But so I'm like super hyped, like, wow, like my dream come true. I'm going to get an advert with this picture of this trick I really love. And then like, I think they showed it to me in projects or something. So because they wanted it to be a double page, they just took one image from the sequence. And I don't know why they chose this particular photo, and it's like, it's not Horsley's fault or anyone's fault. I don't know who chose this particular frame, but like the board was just like really far away from my feet, and it looked like a Nollie heel flip that I didn't land or something. And I was just like, like, you know, like kind of gutted. It had like the opposite effect. Because as a kid, you're thinking, I can't wait, you know, sponsored skateboarding, like that would be amazing. Yeah. And like that feeling of being like, this is my like dream come true, but oh shit, I didn't really like the photo. Like it's like, it's a weird concept. And one of my mates was like, I remember thinking at the time, like, why is he being ungrateful? And I was like, it wasn't being ungrateful. It's just like, it's like a dream come true. So you kind of want it to be how you want it to look.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and I was like quite gutted about it.
Maybe we can get the sequence, choose the one that you want, and in
like
2025, rebuild,
upgrade it.
Rebuild the advert.
And like I say, it was composed, a nice picture by Horsley, but it was just the timing. That, and I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't Horsley who chose that frame. It must have been, you know, but it's been and gone, whatever. I've got the footage of the better one. But yeah, what I mean is like, certain times in sponsored skateboarding, it really had the opposite effect of being stoked. I was like kind of gutted about quite a few pictures. And there's another one, like I had, again, very lucky and grateful that I had this opportunity. And I was like, I got on the cover of Document once, like just nollieing the handrail in, I think it's Moorgate in London, that sort of like had the wooden top that kind of came off. And like, I remember being in a bar. So I worked in this bar in Bristol called the Watershed, which is like an arts cinema place when I was a student. And next door there was like a sort of late night bar called the E-Shed. We always used to pile in there, and we knew the staff. And like, one of my mates was behind the bar, and I'm in there sort of having our usual like after work drinks. And he like goes, "Guess who's on the cover of Document?" And then he hands me the mag, and I'm like, "Wow!" And I was like, "Whoa, what? Why did they put that picture on there? Why did they choose that?" And it's like, you know, I'm super grateful to be on the cover, and I look back now and I'm stoked, and I show my daughter and she goes, "So what?" But I'm there thinking, "I'm a cool dad, right?" She's like, "No," but you know, and I'm massively grateful. But I remember the moment. I remember that was like one of those like Osiris or Minute tours, and I remember I was just kind of trying to warm up to Nollie. I was trying to like flip over it or something.
Yeah.
And I remember I landed a couple of Nollies, and then tried like a Nollie flip and sort of skidded out. And then I like lobbed my board off the bridge because I was pretty pissed off. I don't really do that thing anymore. I never really used to do it. But in that moment, I was clearly wasn't happy with whatever went down. And I think they probably were just like, "Oh, Crawley's having some coverage at the moment. Let's put him on the cover."
Yeah.
But like, I really wasn't keen on the photo. It like, I wasn't that stoked on the trick. And then it looked like the way, again, the timing, it looked like a kickflip or something. My front foot was like fully off it. And again, it was like, oh wow, but like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? It's weird.
Wow, but
yeah, it's weird, and that happened quite a lot. Like I think you mentioned there was a lucky ad with me, and that was just, I was like just nollieing this gap, and it wasn't even that big, and I was just like, I think when you're younger and you think about sponsored skateboarding or pro skaters, you think like, wow, that must be amazing. You think that you might have some input into what photos or what stuff gets used, but a lot of the time, and I know this now from, you know, working in the media a bit, it's like there are other requirements. Like it's like they need an ad, they need a pic. They don't really know, because obviously skateboarding's massively personal to all of us. It's like, you know, it's your thing, it's your life, and like, yeah, like to have the opportunity to be in a magazine is like amazing. But like if it's a picture you're not stoked on, it's a real like, fuck. Like, but there was other pictures I was really chuffed with, which I guess probably one of my favorites is in it was like I had a contents page in Sidewalk. I can't remember which issue, but it was an issue. This is another thing, right? So Tom Penny's on the cover, doing like a pop shove it over like a weird natural bump thing. I don't know if you've seen the clips. He's like, yeah, and so anyway, he's on the cover.
It's a long shot photo on the cover, isn't it? And
so,
it's kind of slightly in front of him.
I think so, yeah. And it's it's amazing, like penny shot. And then you fucking open the mag, and I'm in the. Sorry. Oh yeah, you're looking at stuff.
We're just trying to see if we can find which one it is, but it might be quite difficult.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah. So you look on the cover. It's Tom Penny. You open it up, and I'm in a fucking double page contents, doing like a nollie nose slide down this handrail in Bath, which was like, it's called the rugby rail.
Rugby club rail.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a pretty hefty rail, to be honest. It's like, it's down about 7 or 8 stairs, and it's kind of high. It's not super high, but it's, you know, obviously it's.
Was that the one that was kind of undercover?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and a few people have done tricks on it, and like Carter Smith did. I think some American skaters did some stuff on it. Flynn Trotman back 50'd and back 5-0. I think he had a cover or a pick doing a back 5-0 on it. And I just was at the stage where I was just like nollie nose sliding everything, which I kind of still do. I just
Nothing
love that.
wrong with that.
Yeah, I just love that trick. Yeah, it feels so good.
I think it's quite an honourable thing and almost quite elitist to be a dude that can do a good nollie.
Yeah, really.
Not many people can.
You still don't see a lot of it in skating now. Like someone that's so heavy on like one stance. Like you'll have your switch dudes, but even approaching on a nollie just looks good.
Yeah,
and like getting the board up in that motion, it's never made sense to me.
I think I just fell in love with that motion. How you can get it, you can shunt it, especially if you get into a nollie nose side. It's like, you know, as soon as that back end, I'm trying to think, you sort of nollie obviously, and then your back foot, it's all like your back foot just picks that other bit up, and then once you get into the nollie nose side, you can just like that. So anyway, love that trick. And that was one of my, I had like a sequence. I loved the sequence. I think it was Horsley. And actually, this is how Carter as well was a big part of my sponsored skateboarding life. Like he was there for that, and he was kind of like setting it up. Like he was like, "Come on, you got." He always had ideas of what I could do and like who could film it, who could take the picture. And like, yeah, so we went there, and I think actually I'd already made it because I did it before with a filmer in Bath, which actually was on Viewfinder. I don't know which issue, like Viewfinder 2 or something like that. And yeah, it was like this little Bath section, and I finished it with an ollie nose slide down the rail. It was a bit sketchier than the one I did at Thingy in the sequence, but yeah, I was just like, so, and I had like this Hoax t-shirt on, and I still to this day love that sequence. It's like one of my favorites. But another one where Carter was like the instigator was like, this is before that. There's a handrail in Bristol called Wessex Water, which is like sort of kind of thin square one down about sort of 10 stairs, and it's got like red brick banks around it. I don't know if you've ever seen that. You might recognise it in footage. And I'd been skating that with my country bumpkin mates, and me and my mate, had nose-slid it already, and Carter knew this. And like, I think Horsley was in town, and so was, I think Preston from Thrasher was in town at the same time. Yeah. And he was like, "Let's do your new blood. Let's get your new blood in Sidewalk. They want to get you on. Let's do that, this and that." And so he's like, "Let's go do that nose slide down Wessex Water." So we jump in my tiny little red car, which is kind of like what I'm driving at the moment. And like, I think we put the radio on, or put a tune on, and it's a song by The Who, which I can't remember the name of it. It goes ding 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 ding. That one that, I don't know, the Teenage Wasteland, is it?
Yeah.
And that's playing, and he's like, and Carter's there going, "Yeah, man, inspirational music and that." And I'm just like, "Wow, this is pretty cool." And and I get there, and I managed to do it a couple of times, and like, yeah, they get a nice pick, and yeah, it was just cool like that. How Carter was like, he was hyped. I mean, he was like a fucking hero to me as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, if we're talking about Carter, I guess I need to say like that guy is like one of the rawest, realest skaters out there. He is like true skateboarding, like, and by that I mean like he like lip slid handrails in the rain first go and stuff like that, like And I just heard stories about him, and he would like try and kickflip Lloyds on the way into Lloyds, like
just passing
fucking
through.
amazing, a bit like sort of someone like Penny who just sort of like they just go for it. It's real, like, and they'll push for something like a little bit more. You know, it's not kind of, I don't know. He's got that thing, and he's still an amazing skater now. Like, you know,
I see his clips coming up and that. Like, he's still got it.
Fucking amazing.
He'll be listening to that bit, so we need to we need to petition to get him on.
Oh, he'd be good.
It would be good.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
It would be great.
But yeah, he like, I mean, that's the thing about skating. You go from having your heroes, and then they're like your skate buddies. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, really good.
Hang on a minute. We need to talk about sponsoring this episode of the Brain Drain Show. Toby, take it away.
Today's episode is sponsored by You.
You is a supernatural, delicious sparkling water with full fruit flavour. 0 sugar, 0 sweetener, no calories, and nothing artificial. The brand is built on a radical simplicity. Sparkling water, fruit extract, and nothing else.
You is a great way to stay hydrated during the sesh and comes in 3 different flavours. Crispy apple, my favourite here, zesty lemon and pink rhubarb, all with 0 sugar, 0 sweetener, 0 calories, and nothing artificial.
Toby, let's crack one of these bad bitches open and get back to the show right now.
ASMR. Yeah. So what we were talking about, Minute coming to the end.
Yeah.
And what was that? It's just budget changes in the industry, I guess.
I can't actually remember what happened. I think, you know, they had a good team. They had, you know, we were filming some stuff. There was never really a Minute video. There was like, sort of, I think Purpose Built was a video. It was either like a Leicester. It wasn't Leicester. It wasn't. What was the shop in Leicester?
Casino. It was like a Bristol kind of scene-ish video. I think Matt Law video, and it had like Hab Good, Andy Simpson, Stu Graham. Yeah. I think there was a heavy mix of people in it.
Yeah, no, I actually wasn't in that one, but that was a project distribution video. I think that was what it was. But yeah, there was never really like a Minute video or anything. We did film stuff and went on tour, but I think it fizzled out before they did anything with that footage. But yeah, I mean, at one point the team was like me, Dan Leech, Dylan Hughes, Dave Snadden, Rob Selly, Paul Alexander, Daniel, at the time, Todorovic, and maybe, well, I can't remember if there's anyone else, but I mean, if they would have, you know, if we could have pulled something together, it could have been quite cool, but yeah, it just didn't really happen. Yeah, it fizzled out, one reason or another.
Where did you go from there? Well,
actually, like, I had a bit of a period of like I kind of was approaching the end of like really wanting to be sponsored because like I say, it was a mixed bag. It was like, it was fun. You know, I had some really great moments, really fun times with a lot of the people, like the photographers and the other skaters. But I never really felt that comfortable doing it. Like, I never really going from doing something you love and it's like super fun and you love everything about it to kind of like, in certain instances, having to do it when you don't really feel like doing it and like being in the spotlight. And there's always that thing as well when you get sponsored, you're like, or you get a bit more of a public profile, like other skaters will watch you when you're at a spot, and like that would always like play on your mind, like, oh shit, what if I missed a trick, this and that. And it all that culminated in kind of like a feeling of like, I don't think it's cool to get free stuff, but I think I want to just choose my own skateboards and my own shoes and just skate for fun now with my friends. Like I just want to do that. And I'd sort of,
we get some of the younger lot come in, and they talk about being a sponsored skater and stuff, and I say to them, it's like, it's no different than what you're doing now, but you just have expectation on you. So don't really seek it out. If it happens, it's great. Yeah. But yeah, I think everyone that we spoke to about spot, it all kind of goes in a similar way, doesn't it? Of like that expectation and having to perform, and it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, it's truly a weird feeling when, I mean, I had to do a few demos, or I got to a few comps with Osiris and stuff. One at like the Millennium Dome. I can't remember what it was called. But, you know, it just feels completely unnatural to me. Some people are good at it, you know, all that sort of stuff, like being in the spectacle, dropping in when there's just you, and like they'll judge you in 2 minutes. Like,
it wouldn't have been my thing either, you know.
Totally.
I think, you know, even when we were skating on Friday, and there's probably 15 people.
And you were doing that feeble, and there were people watching.
Yeah, too many.
It's a bit much. Like, if you can land it, it's like, oh, cool, I did it. But like, it doesn't feel that natural. We're not performers usually, skateboarders. We're like, you know, some people get a bit more into that, but it's like, you skate because you kind of like this fun thing that you can just do on your own terms. And yeah, so it was all, I remember being at that Millennium Dome comp, Again, I was supposed to enter, but didn't. I sort of made up that I couldn't or whatever. And there was one bit which is quite funny where they had like news crews there of like, oh, there's an event at the Millennium Dome and there's a skate park. And so they send out me and Connor Lynn, who obviously amazing skater, seemed like a really nice chap. And they interviewed us, right? Both outside. And I think I was supposed to go, yeah, I'm so happy to be here. This is amazing. Da da da. They interviewed me and I was just like, yeah, I don't really like comps that much. And like, not really having the best time. It's not really my cup of tea. And the interviewer lady was just like, okay, Connor. And Connor was a bit more media trained, probably enjoyed comps a bit more. You know, he's really good at them, at that sort of skating. And he was like, yeah, he just said some really like what you should say, basically. And it was just like funny, the contrast. But yeah, I was kind of over being a sponsored skateboarder. But it's a hard thing to step away from as well, because free stuff, a bit of traveling, a bit of opportunity. So yeah, I was in this kind of weird phase and I was skating a lot I always had a lot of, I was always really friendly with a lot of Welsh skaters. So like, you know, Thankyou, Welsh Tommy, Josh Kasper, all those guys. And like, there was like a real click when the Cardiff skaters would come over to Bristol because they had a similar, really down-to-earth mentality, like a bit like the country skaters that I used to hang out with. So that was really great. And I was skating a lot with Tommy, and Tommy had just got on East, obviously, so Mackey's company, which was fucking sick company. And, you know, bless him, Tommy was just doing what friends do. And he was like, Crawley, man, I'm going to get you on East. And I was just kind of like, oh, you know, I mean, okay, cool. Like, it seems like a cool company. And like, I, you know, got on East, and Mackey, being the lovely guy that he is, he was like, cool, it sounds like a good dude, this and that. And then he starts like sending me boards, and I met him and went on a couple of trips. And it really, when I think about it, it kind of sucks because out of all the sponsors I had, like Mackey's company, East, was like the realest of the real. Like that's who you want to skate for. You want to skate for a lifelong skater who lives and breathes skateboarding. Yeah. Obviously has good ideas about stuff, cool designs and this and that. But I just couldn't get myself out of this. I don't want to be a sponsored skateboarder anymore. I don't know.
You're kind of over it mentally.
Yeah, and it really sucked because like I say, I really would have loved to have been able to perform and like help Mackey's brand and this and that. And you know, I did a few things, filmed a few tricks, and Mackey has always been really lovely to me. And actually, the one of the best things that come out of that is like we're friends now, and like he's a great dude, and like we're connected, and we always chat and this and that. And I was chatting to him the other day actually. But yeah, so like it got to a point where Mackey could kind of tell that I wasn't really, you know, didn't really have it in me to go out and like film and get in the mags and that. And he was sending me a lot of boards, and I like felt bad, and I was on the verge of talking to him about it, but then he called me, and like bless him, you know, he's never had to really do that before and be like, I'm really sorry, I can't really send you boards anymore. And like I was just like, dude, like thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm really sorry I couldn't, you know, step out of what I was feeling and actually kind of give it some, I don't know, I feel like I'm older now, so the sort of pressures of skateboarding probably wouldn't have got to me as much if I was as mature mentally kind of as I am now. But yeah, it sucked. But like I say, I got some really good friends out of it. I did go on a few trips, and you know, Dykey's always been a really good friend of mine.
Big up Dykey.
Fucking love Dykey. What a sweet, funny, lovely guy. And you know, he's done some amazing things with his running. I filmed him, Pritchard, and Leo Sharp run from John O'Croats to Land's End once. That was like my first freelance job, but it wasn't like a paid thing. I was just did it for free. But unfortunately, we didn't actually make anything out of it because, like, I don't know, there's one reason or another. I've still got a box of tapes with that footage of basically them running from John O'Groats to Land's End, a few interviews and stuff. So maybe, you know, I could pull it out of the bag at some point. But that was mad. We had to sleep in like this kind of Winnebago thing. I was like in between Pritchard and Dykey. Pritchard had sleep apnea, so he was like, he'd be like, he'd like sound like he was dying, and he would like, he had loads of tramadol. Like, I think he got off Dainton or something. He would just KO himself, and I think I sort of tried him a bit so I could sleep, and they were weird. They were like, you'd feel like euphoric, and then like sick, and then you'd go sleepy. It's a really weird drug, medicine or whatever it's called. But yeah, that was a funny time. But yeah, so. Like I say, East was a great team to be on, but unfortunately I didn't have it in me to carry it on. So
what was the transition into, like, because you were filming a lot at that time, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
You doing the filming as well?
A bit, yeah. So so skateboarding is how I got into filmmaking and filming. I had a few trips where I think it was one particular trip where I went to Barca with like a crew of like a load of Welsh guys. Another thing about sponsored skateboarding, a lot of the time I'd go on a trip and I'd get injured on the second day or something, so I'd just hobble around for it, and that was not much fun. But on this particular trip in Barca, it's like kind of a strange combo. It was like Frank Stevens and some of that crew, and then like some Welsh guys and like Carl and some other people. And yeah, I just like can't remember what I did. I think it wasn't even skating. I was just walking up this marble bank, slipped and caught my shin on this like pointy wall, and it literally just took like, it was horrible. It took a foot. Anyway, I had to go to hospital in Spain. And anyway, after that, I picked up the camera. I was like, borrowed the camera and started filming. And I'd already been filming a bit, and like I'd been doing film at uni. And yeah, I don't know. I trained in media and filming and stuff. And I sort of started filming skating, but I never filmed. I filmed bits of like just skating, like, you know, but I was never really like a skate filmer. You
were like a fill-in kind of thing sometimes, or like another angle, or
exactly, and like
B-roll,
that sort of thing, or just like doing it with my mates and stuff. And like I sort of I did actually have a few jobs where I was like I filmed one of the big push, like DC big pushes, and it was amazing to see people like Leo and Jodie Smith, like the twins, like. I was like, man, they're like the Cornish Costin, like, fucking hell, they were incredible. Like, so tech to see British skaters being so
and
rad,
still,
and so steezy. Yeah, still good now, and
so
so fucking funny as well. They're really funny guys.
I've never met them, but
they're
like,
really
we're trying
funny.
to get them on here, aren't we? And
you should definitely.
Yeah, I've always thought they were sick then too. Like,
I've met Leo at Spit and Sawdust.
Yeah, they're really. Yeah,
it was just one of those instantly, like we like clocked each other and then looked, and I just went, podcast like that. Straight the way he was just
subliminal.
Like, straight the way he was just like, funny look on his face, and then I kept looking at him and just kept going, and it was he's sound, like, and I bet his brother is as well. Like, we tag team him quite a lot in the DMs, just like sending them dates. Like, you both.
That'd be so good.
I said to him, you either need to come on together or you come on separately, but the whole episode you're just slagging off the other twin. I was like, so choose your destiny. It's completely up to you.
Yeah, they'd be great. Like, their whole crew in like Cornwall and stuff. Like, again, I could just, you know, I met a few of them, and just instantly their humor is similar to like us growing up in the West Country. But yeah, that experience of being the filmer, I didn't really enjoy, because I felt like an old man who'd been sort of relegated.
Part of the bench.
There's nothing wrong with that, and all respect to skate filmers, but I just didn't quite enjoy that dynamic. And it's not like, oh, I have to be in front of the camera. It was just like, I'd rather just skate with these guys. I didn't really, you know, it was cool. I got paid, and I got to meet James Stentiford. I don't know if you ever met him. He was like their team manager, snowboarder guy. He's really sound. And it was a fun tour, but I just realized, like, I don't want to be a skate filmer. But I sort of finished uni, and there was a bit of a time until I started actually working in film, because they don't really teach you how to get work sometimes. Part of the course, right? Which they should. Maybe they do now. But you would just kind of, you'd finish your course, you had a bit of theory and a bit of practical, experience. And I think for a while, my favorite things to watch were documentaries, like, because they're real life stories. They can be really moving. They can have an impact. They can make a difference, and all this sort of stuff. And I was kind of like, that really like inspired me. I was like, oh, I want to make a documentary. I'm not sure what about, but I was sort of inspired by that. And like, I used to watch my mum when I was younger. She spent her whole life kind of like helping people with her work, and I was like, oh, I want to be as good as that. It was like really nice sort of inspiration. She just used to help like deprived communities kind of get funding for like projects and all this sort of stuff. So I was like, I want to do some good or something. There was some sort of motivation there,
What, Nollie flipped down Lloyds? Wasn't fucking hell. It's done a lot for the community.
Well, yeah, maybe, but like, yeah. And I was working in a bar, and someone I was working with worked at Vice, and I really liked Vice's stuff. Yeah. And so this is how I got on to like, having an idea about making a film about Paul Alexander. Mm-hmm. Because being in Bristol, I'd sort of seen him skate over the years, and then I started to get to know him. I started to hang out with him and the crew, and they lived on a part of Bristol called Gloucester Road in this house, which they called the Cronk House. right? Which is just like a load of skaters getting baked and mucking about and just messy as hell, but like, and then in there DJing and God knows what else. And I sort of, spent some time around there hanging out with them, and I started to really kind of become fascinated by Paul.
Was Matt Mills?
Yeah, Millsy was there.
Fucking hell, what a guy. I've got a little canvas, a board, and a big piece of artwork by him, all as like a trilogy series. Yeah, he's really good. He's the first person I've seen in real life doing pressure flips. He always used to like doing that huge, like he had a video part in I think it was like 04 Till Infinity by Greg Yarmouth or something maybe.
Oh, Greg King maybe.
And he's from Yarmouth, this Greg guy, and he lived in Barca. And the Matt Mills part, he does a big pressure flip down a stair set, rolls away, and then like celebrates and sniffs the line off the floor like the old fucking football player. But I remember I knew him first before Paul, because Paul was doing whatever, and Millsy came back to Leicester. And then obviously Millsy went on and had a crazy existence.
Of course. And I think what happened with Paul was that I would be in that Cronk house, whatever, after skating, having a few beers with them, and I got to know Paul, and I became like fascinated by him because.
What was it about Paul then at that point that was like
carpet boarding?
Well, so there was like the stuff where he lays on his back and he's like switch tray flipping, and he knows all these, he's worked out how to do all these tricks. And then he's grabbing them as well and doing sweep grabs. And so he was this guy who had all these kind of amazing talents, but his skateboarding was just like, obviously just like next level. Like him and his brother, so obviously Paul has a brother called Steve Alexander, who's fucking really funny, but they're both really sharp, both really intelligent and really articulate in the way they speak, like really funny guys. And Paul, like his skateboarding was amazing, but when he would speak, he would talk a little bit about his experiences of getting ill and getting sectioned and stuff like that. But he would say it in like, he would just kind of like, I mean, it was part of, his, what was going on with him, which was feeding into it. But he would say kind of really quite bizarre stuff like, yeah, man, they were like pinning me down, like trying to chop my dick off and stuff like that. Like really kind of like bizarre stuff, which people didn't quite know how to take. But, he would say less extreme things like, he would sometimes just say like, oh man, they would get me, they'd take me off the streets and I'd be stuck in this hospital. And then like there were times when he would like break out of the psychiatric unit so he could go skating and he'd go and get some weed and go skating. And then he'd be up for 3 days skating and like literally just skate like, and he would do that in Bristol. And so people would kind of have these kind of slightly bizarre experiences with him that they didn't really quite understand, and at times it would be a bit, Paul might get arrested or something because he was doing something that might be interpreted as a bit dodgy. Like I think he might have been up for days and sat on a bench and like throwing stones into like the road to try and hit one of the cat's eyes, and not really grasping that might hit a car or something. So we didn't really know the extent of his illness at that time, or much about how it worked and all that sort of stuff. But I was just like fascinated by him and kind of in awe of him as well, because he was really, when he spoke, people listened, and when he skated, people watched. Like
100%.
Like fucking hell.
Yeah.
He, like his level of skateboarding, I think like, those guys, if they lived in New York, they would have been on Supreme, him and his brother. Like their East Coast raw street skating was just incredible. Like so much power, so much pop. And like I say, like in a way, like Paul's illness kind of fed into his skateboarding a bit. Like, and at the time we were just like, well, that's so sick. Obviously not really knowing that kind of in some ways it's a bit damaging to him and stuff like that. Like none of us really understood it, but I was just like, I mean, Paul spoke a lot about his situation as if, he spoke about the struggle of, the system getting him down and that sort of stuff, which at the time all of us completely, and there was an element of truth to that, I think. But there was like, some of that, like when he was becoming maybe a little bit of a risk to himself, or never to any of us, but it was just, like, unfortunately, someone needed to kind of look after him and just get him to get some sleep and, you know, and I still kind of not sure where I stand on like the medication that they were giving him, because it was very, very sedative, obviously, you know, and it's quite sad to see someone who's physically like so amazing at something get kind of like sedated, but you know, he could skate through that sometimes anyway. But yeah, I was just like, wow, this guy's like I think, you know, his story would make a pretty interesting film. So I knew a camera guy who worked at Vice, and I was like, I basically I spoke to Paul and I was like, what do you think about trying to do a documentary? And he's like, bang up for it, because so he can say his piece and like, you know, argue his case and tell his story basically. So before I kind of thought about it being I was like, I'm just going to make this film. I'm going to go and film some stuff with him. And we're going to, you know, whatever's going to happen, but I'm going to try and make a documentary. And sort of, and as part of that process, I knew this guy at Vice, and I basically went up to Leicester a few times to see Paul.
Yeah, that's his
when he was
hometown.
Yeah,
Leicester,
of course. Yeah. And
I can remember. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
I can remember he was back in Leicester, and it was Go Skate Day, and we were going from different park to park.
Yeah.
And like some people had jumped in a car and stuff, and it was like a 10-15 minute walk, and it was just me and Paul walking over this field.
Yeah.
And he was just like completely fine.
Yeah.
Just talking to him. A couple of like rough around the edges, couple of things, but I already knew that he'd like struggled.
Yeah.
But he would just, like you said, just sharp and on it, talking about skating.
Yeah.
And it was like, 15-minute walk, and it wasn't like he wasn't acting out in any way. And it was just like, for that minute, I was like, oh, Paul's like fully back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was nice to have that, like, because I don't think many people would have had that one-on-one time where we were just talking about skating. And, and this was probably 2014, 2015.
Yeah. Which
at the time you feel old then, like in your 20s, but looking back on it now, I'm like, I was just a kid with him and I knew who he was, but I didn't know to the extent.
Yeah.
And it was a fucking good conversation, just walking with him, just talking skating. He's like, I'm back from Bristol for a little bit because I've not been well. And he was just
he's
sat
great and
just skated that whole day, and he was wicked.
Yeah.
It's
it. I think that's the sad thing about it is that he can, you know, he's a very, very capable, intelligent, amazing, funny person, and quite a caring guy as well, and like very talented in a lot of ways. I mean, if you've ever heard him freestyle rap, he's like fucking, he could just off the dome, just like so good. But yeah, so I went up to Leicester, filmed him a few times, interviewed him in his bedroom, and he said some really cool, you know, he's told his side of the story. And then he was like, let's go to the psychiatric unit, I'll take you on a tour. And he's not in there at the moment. He's just like, I'm like, yeah, cool, man. And I took my camera, and he's just like, we go there. Obviously, you're not really supposed to go there and film. But he's sort of taking me around. I've got his mic'd up, and I'm following him around. He's like, yeah, man, this is this bit, and like, this is where they sometimes like put me in this unit, and they can't get out, and this and that. And then he's like, sees someone in the window, and then he sees someone in the window, and he's like, yo, Smithy, or something like that. And he's like, yo, man, he's like, I'm out for a bit. He's like, how you doing? And he's like having this chat with this guy who obviously knows a bit. And then he takes me down this corridor, and I'm still filming like inside this psychiatric unit, and he's just like telling me all about it, and then he's like, yeah, through there's like the gnarly bit and this and that, and then like some security person comes up and we're just like, and he's like, hey, are you the guys that someone's reported to be like filming on the hospital? And we're like, oh yeah, sorry, we were just taking some pictures for like Paul's thing. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm like, you know, in here sometimes and this and that. And anyway, so I had a bit of like B-roll of that sort of stuff, and I had this interview. And then I start to make what we call like a taster tape, or like a sizzle, or like a trailer, basically.
Yeah.
So when you have an idea for
teaser.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it wasn't like to go out to the public. It was basically because I'd sort of done a bit of research, and I'd worked out that if you want to get a documentary made and you have an idea, it's a good idea to basically shoot some interviews, shoot some stuff, make a taster tape, you know, a short, punchy thing which tells the story, shows who could be in it, shows a little bit of the special stuff that could be in it, and kind of draws in like a commissioner or someone who's gonna make it.
Just like storyboarding it, isn't it? If you're on a job,
it's kind of like sending a demo to a record label, but you're sending it to a TV company to get the funding.
Of course, yeah, exactly. And it was that process. And so I made a little trailer, which I think I put on Instagram or something, I sort of wrote up the idea as a one page. And I think at the start, it was because I was very much from Paul's viewpoint. I was like, because so Paul's first name is Solomon, I think, or his middle name, and it was like Solomon struggle with the British mental health system. But this is what I kind of pitched it as at first, and I had a 1-page thing saying like what the title is, what it could be about, and then this little trailer, and I sent it into this contact at Vice, who this guy had given me his details, and they just got back straight away and were like, oh, this looks really interesting. Do you want to come in and have a meeting? And I'm just like, yeah, all right. Wow, that's cool.
Was the Paul documentary one of the first pieces that you'd made?
Yeah.
Like, on a, let's say, like especially a professional level as well.
100%. Well, I mean, so I'd done quite a bit of like freelance filming and stuff like that, and like made little things for companies and this and that, but not something with a story, and not something that would get published at that level. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they called me in for a meeting. I remember like, distinctively like driving up, parking, going in, like seeing the sort of neon Vice logo on the office. So this is like in Shoreditch in London. And I go in, I'm like, wow, this is cool. And I'd actually also, so this is just after the Taz Papas documentary had come out.
Yeah.
All This Mayhem, which I'd watched and I thought was fucking incredible. Obviously there's a bit of drama around it, but I thought it was amazing. And actually,
I went to the cinema to watch
it. Did you?
Man.
Yeah, it's a really good documentary.
For 5 minutes or so after I came out, like, man, fuck Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, it's the bird man.
I know. Because at the time you're like, this Taz Papas dude, man, he's amazing, he's right. Yeah. And then you sort of learn a bit more. And anyway, but it was a great documentary. And so they just made that. So I remember being in the meeting with this guy, I think he was called Max or something. And he had a little sidekick with him. And they were like, cool, so what's this film? Like, what's it about? And I was like, whoa, it's about Paul. What do you mean? Because I didn't really know what they meant at that point. And they're like, oh, no, is it about masculinity? Is it about mental health? Is it about... I was like, I guess it's about all those things, really. Like, I was just sort of... didn't really know all the key buzzwords and everything to land at that point. And he was like, well, we think it's great. We think he's really interesting and his story's great if the access holds up. I'm going to link you up with a producer, vice producer, because they could tell I was like not super experienced at that point. And and then I go and meet the producer and they're like, he's like, wicked. And actually the guys were like, yeah, we think this could be great. It can't really be the same as All This Mayhem, which they had a poster of behind him. He's like, we want it to be a different... And I was like, it's not going to be like that. It's a totally different thing. And then I go to meet the producer and the producer's like, yeah, this looks wicked. Like, and then they started talking to me about budget and stuff like that. And it wasn't like a huge budget, but I just couldn't believe that I was going to get paid to make it.
Because if you didn't get that budget, you would have made it skateboarding style.
Yeah, which would have been good, but it might not have hit the right notes, if you know what I mean. It might not have had the balance, because they were very good at stuff. So then we go into production and we sort of start writing out what you call a treatment, which is like what's going to happen when we're going to film it and all this jazz. And I'm learning the whole way, because Vice, all the people at that point who worked there, of course it gets called like a, whatever it is, like a sort of trendy hipster kind of this and that. But like there was lots of really talented people there, to be honest.
They've made a lot of very cutting edge documentaries. Vice. They were at the front line for a long time,
100%,
making documentaries about like sneaking into countries and like underground organizations. Like, they were on fire for quite a while. It seems like they're bringing it back. So
they've been on a bit of a ride recently, but so basically went into production, started lining up interviews with like Paul's mum. I spoke to his brother, who didn't want to be part of it, and I fully respect that. It must be quite close to home, and like absolutely fair enough. But he didn't, it wasn't like you can't make. He was just, it was just his stance on it. It was, so he wasn't going to be in it. So obviously there's Paul, his mum, Andy Simpson from Leicester,
Casino, absolute legend.
So I got hold of him, and he was up for it. Everyone was a little bit standoffish, just because they knew it was a deep subject matter, and obviously, like with someone like Paul, there's always the worry that you might overstimulate them and it might do them some damage. Maybe when thankfully it didn't. But so we kind of lined up these interviews. And then as we were sort of getting into it, unfortunately, Paul got sectioned again, right? And I'm like, fuck, oh shit, how are we going to make this now? Like, and how is Paul? Like, is he okay? Like, and I was getting a bit sketched out, like, oh God, is this the right thing I'm doing? It's like in flow now. And luckily enough, the producer guy who I was working with, he was really fucking cool. He was called Ben Ferguson, I think. And he was like, it's cool. Let's just roll with it. It's not out of the question that this is going to, like, so he then gets on the phone to the hospital and he basically manages to sort out so that we can go into the hospital and interview Paul whilst he's in the hospital. which was quite a feat in those days. And I think he kind of explained the sort of beneficial nature of, you know, spreading awareness with mental health and that sort of stuff. So anyway, so we then arranged to go into the hospital in Leicester psychiatric unit, and we go in, and I think me and the producer went in beforehand, like a week or so before, and he met Paul, and Paul was at that stage not very well, bless him. He was heavily medicated, and I was a bit like, oh, how's this going to go, you know? But you know, we went in, and on the day we went in, it was a bit kind of weird because the doctor was like, don't know if this is the right day for him. It might stress him out, because I think when Paul's a bit fed up, like the doctors and nurses are a bit like, they're obviously doing their job, being like, they have to kind of, but anyway, he was fine, and we managed to get into this tiny little orange room with Paul. Paul comes in, and he's a bit, I guess I had a bit like pre-interview nerves, like, you know, I guess maybe I did when I come on here. It's like, you know, you're a bit like, oh, am I going to be all right? And he's a bit, and I sort of reassure him, and then I'm sort of like learning how to be sensitive to people when you're interviewing them and stuff like that. And so then we start interviewing Paul, and so I ask Paul some questions, and then the producer comes in and asks questions as well. And Paul just absolutely did himself justice in that moment.
Goes back into that sharp mind.
He's just, and he says, some of the stuff he says in that interview, especially towards the end of the film, is like so profound. And it's like, man, you're like, in this situation, you've got this illness that comes round and gets you every so often, and you have a really horrible time with it. And he just like, he really did himself proud. He was like, he gave like an amazing interview. And with every interview, there was like a bit of this kind of thing, whereas I knew, Danny Wainwright obviously was in it. Mm-hmm. So I know the people who I'm interviewing a bit, so I kind of don't want them to feel uncomfortable. So if there's a silence, I'm kind of filling it, or I'm like, cool, they finished, sweet, next question. You know, especially Wainwright, and Paul as well, actually. I was like, you know, Wainwright's obviously like pro skater, hero of mine, local legend. So in Danny Wainwright's interview, in 50/50, we've like set up the camera, and I've gone for this style where people are like looking directly into the lens, because I feel like it's deep subject matter. It's quite a connection you can get with whoever you're watching.
It's interesting saying that, as opposed to like you being there and the camera being here, because it makes it more directional, that they're talking to the viewer and like
down the barrel. We had this cool thing called an Interatron or something, where you basically put it on the front of the camera, and it like has this weird mirror system that goes round, and it ends up that there's this bit of glass in front of the camera which has got a reflective bit on it, which in front of the camera shows you, if you're the interviewer, you're here, your face pops up on the lens, like in the on the glass in front of the lens, so they feel like they're talking to you, and you're looking in, and you can see their face, so they're like looking into it. So anyway, so that's how they get that straight down the camera. It's mad. It's a amazing device, and I think that's a really good technique in documentaries. But yeah, the thing you're talking about when they're a bit off, that's like more observational in a way, I guess. But yeah, so we're in 50/50. I've set up the camera, and I'm a bit nervous about interviewing this skate royalty guy who I know a bit. So I'm there asking him, you know, how long have you known Paul for? Like, how would you describe Paul? Like, what do you think's going on with him? This and that. And yeah, Danny's like saying his piece, and we're in the skate shop, and there's a couple of other skaters around there. So he's got a small audience, you know, so you're a little bit in the spotlight. And I keep feeling like the hand of the vice guy on my shoulder. And I think what he's doing is he's saying, so when Danny finishes his answer, he's like, yeah, so you know, and he kept saying, you know, and it was his like sign off, like, I finished my answer. And I would be like, okay, cool. So, and the guy would be like, and he'd try and stop me from talking. And what I didn't realize is, right, so then he takes over, and he's a lot more direct with his questions, and he's way better at the awkward silences. So he's like, is Paul mad? And he just stares at Danny, and Danny goes, well, no. What do you mean? Like, of course not. Well, I don't think, you know, what do you mean? And the guy doesn't say anything. And then Danny's finished, and he's like, and then he comes up with a much better, much deeper answer after that silence. And he did that with almost every question. And by the end of it, Danny's like, man, you should work for the police. You've got me like hook, line and sinker. Because like, and it was amazing for me to watch. So I'm learning a lot as I'm...
Expertise journalism.
Brilliant. And he was a real proper like journalist, this guy. And I was just some guy who's kind of, you know, got a bit of access to this interesting skater and this and that. And yeah, it was incredible. And there was like, so Danny ended up saying some really quite profound things in that documentary, especially towards the end, because he talks about, I think the guy was like getting at like, you know, how did you guys react when Paul was having an episode or something like that? And he was like, yeah, I don't know, like it's hard. And again, he would like ride the silence out. And then Danny said something like, oh, I think, you know, like when you're young and you're all skaters and like, you know, you don't really know how to deal with that sort of stuff. If you are to put yourself out there and say like, I'm really feeling not right, my mind's racing and this and that, like you're kind of vulnerable and it's hard to put yourself in that position. No one really knows how to kind of react in those situations. Well, we certainly didn't at that age. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody had experienced that before. But the way this guy interviewed Danny, it just brought out these really amazing answers. And so that was, it's an amazing experience to be part of. And I learned a bit of that, you know, going forwards and stuff like that. So
I guess it's being comfortable with silence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like, I think we've learned a little bit of that sometimes as well.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to let people breathe.
Yeah. I was rewatching some of the early episodes and like just the way we're like asking questions and talking and kind of filling those silent voids compared to the episodes that we do now. It was almost hard for me to watch our earlier first interview episodes because we're just messy everywhere. Like we're trying
I've never watched them.
It's like we're constantly trying to like scramble to keep the flow going.
Yeah, and I guess it's just learning.
I think we're true. I think we're maybe at the cusp of being true professionals now.
Yeah, well and truly, I'd say.
Well, there you go, from a professional to two professionals.
Yeah, and also it's like your confidence grows as well, doesn't it? You know, the more you do it, you're in the moment, and you kind of
I guess it just becomes more natural, doesn't it?
It's also helped from people listening to it. So, like going back to Simpson, every time I see Simpson, we'll talk about it, and he gives some real. I've always looked up to Simpson.
Yeah.
In skating as well.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he's like, let the people talk.
Yeah.
And then he said to me the other day, if they say, I started skating an 8-inch board, he's like, last thing I want to hear is that you also skated one. And then over the last couple of episodes, like 10, 15 episodes, I've noticed with both me and Toby, we just took a step back a little bit. So it's also like the guests on the show, but also the people listening, giving their 2 cents about it has actually helped shape the podcast.
Yeah, totally.
And Simpson's one of the only people that I talk that much about it to when I see him, because he listens to a lot of podcasts and he's quite heavily involved in skating still to a degree.
Yeah, totally.
So we'll be listening to this one. So Simpson, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I know you'll be listening. Next time I see you, come.
I saw him in Bristol actually on Go Skate Day. I think someone said does his son skate a bit? Yeah.
His son lives there.
Nice. Oh, he lives there. Oh, cool.
Or he might be back now. But
yeah, no, there's someone
I think he said to me his son moved there for a while. I think he is still there.
The weekend as well.
He's a good dude. Hopefully, I caught a glance of him. I didn't quite get to say hello, but
yeah, that's when I spoke to him. Just like, and he says like from a listener's point of view what he likes, and then I take it on board and like, obviously same with everything. Like some advice is good, some isn't, and it's about getting that middle, like that middle ground.
Also understanding that you can't keep everybody happy. So sometimes it's better to just say
Toby
no disrespect to Simpson.
Toby sending shots. So next time Simpson's here, I want Simpson to truck him. So
I've got utmost respect for Simpson.
One of my favourite parts of the documentary was when you're talking about shooting a kickflip over a road gap in Bristol for the mag.
Yeah.
And then he says like, the photographer said, why don't you just dolly it? And then Paul just goes, well, I've fucking done a million fucking ollies, so I might as well just kickflip it. I think he did it first. Well, it's the way that he said it. He's like, I can already ollie.
Yeah, there's gaps in Bristol that there's one in particular that he frontside flipped on, and it was actually in 411. And no one has got anywhere close to that. People just to put that in perspective, like I think Wainwright ollied it, Carter's 180'd it, and Paul's kickflipped it and frontside flipped it. And the photo of the frontside flip that was in Sidewalk that Horsley took, the frontside flip is about that high off the ground. It's mental. But yeah, it was a great experience making that film. It was, I learned a lot. I, forged a lot of connections with various people, and obviously with Paul, like, had this really amazing moment when, the film, we'd spent like months editing it because there's so much archive and, the interviews, and the editor guy called Devin, who I worked with, was like amazing, and he's been on a lot of my other skate docs. And
I was going to ask how long it took overall.
Yeah, I think it took maybe the best part of a year almost. Like not non-stop filming, obviously, but in between, like when things happened and we had to work around them and stuff. But yeah, we finally had the finished cut, and I was really nervous about Paul, because I knew that Vice could be a bit edgy and this and that, and I thought, God, what if they misrepresent him, or it's such a sensitive subject, and Paul is like skate royalty. It's a very sensitive subject. He's a human being. I want him to be represented in the best way possible, and I've obviously got the skate audience, whereas they're just making it for everyone, and they want to get it watched and this and that. But so it was finished. I got a copy on my laptop, drove to Leicester to the hospital that he was in, and he comes out in the car park, and we sit in my little Metro or whatever shit car I had at the time, and we have a little premiere like that, and he's just there going, yeah, Crawley, man, yeah, man, like we're watching a skate video. He's absolutely loving it, and it's really fucking quite deep, obviously. And by the end of it, he was just so hyped, and I was like,
relieved.
I was relieved. I felt like euphoric, in a way of like the achievement, the relief that he liked it, because that was the main thing. He likes it, everything's good. And yeah, I've had that feeling a couple of times with various documentaries, but that's the first time I felt it, and it just felt amazing. And actually, when the film comes out, then it kind of opens up a whole conversation in some ways about mental health in skateboarding that we never really had.
That was one of the questions. It was, did making the Paul documentary, do you feel like it opened up doors, especially in the UK, because that was the first mental health documentary around skateboarding. Do you think it opened up doors for people to openly talk more about their life experiences?
Yeah,
I think it did.
I genuinely think so, because and I've got, flipping out, still to this day I get messages on Instagram like, oh, I've just watched that film that you made about Paul, and it's like really helped me because I had something similar, or my friend had something similar, and this and that. And I remember at the time there was a real buzz around it, and there was even a time when I had some friends who were like filming something in LA, some documentary about some DJs, and they were like, yeah, they're all talking about your documentary, like, because someone skated, and like, yeah, I was just like, you're fucking kidding me.
I think it's at like 5 million views on Vice.
It's certainly up there, and like,
it's incredible. It's an incredible documentary.
Oh, thanks. Obviously a huge part of that is down to like the people in it, and especially Paul and Danny, and but yeah, I'm so proud of it, and like, obviously, in it going forwards, like, it really helped me to make other documentaries and stuff like that, and yeah, I'm so proud of it, and it's an iconic piece for Vice. It's like and like, whoa, I never thought I'd be able, I'd be part of that. So,
well, not only iconic for them, but the fact that it was like your first piece that you were, you'd say, have like full kind of reins over as well, obviously with the producer. For that to be a first piece and for it to go down like that is a massive achievement.
Oh yeah, it's
amazing.
Yeah, it's like, it really has a close, strong place in my heart, that film. Yeah, and obviously so does Paul. Like, I went to film. I went up to Leicester, and we were going around the hospital. I actually filmed a few weeks later. He was out of that hospital for a bit, and I filmed him in a car park, and he hadn't been skating much, this and that, some cool little car park with like a bit gravelly surface, and he just bangs out every flip trick under the sun, 360 Nollie.
It's the last montage of the documentary.
Yeah, and he's there talking about.
He's a natural, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just like incredible, and but bless him, I think that cycle of illness still exists a bit with him, unfortunately. Yeah. Like, none of it's his fault. It's there, and so he probably does still skate a bit. I haven't chatted to him for a little while, but
he went to buy a skateboard recently from Conflict Skates in Leicester. He just knocked on Dave's door, and just bought a board. But I think the hardest bit, the hardest hitting part of the documentary for me is near the end. He says something along the lines of he knows that he can still do it, and he wants to get better. Yeah. To that point of where he can just do it how he used to. Yeah. And it's like that realization that he knows that he was a good skater. I don't think he was ever like big-headed about it, but I think that ending quote of like, I just want to get better. Yeah. So I can just go skate again.
Yeah. And he's like, there'll be a point when I won't be on this earth anymore, and it's like,
yeah, that's the bit. I
just want to please my friends and skate, and yes. Very moving, that
proud,
bit.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Definitely, props to him.
Toby, I know you're enjoying some delicious music right now with great sound audio quality, but you got to tell the listeners who's sponsoring this episode. Take it away.
Today's episode is supported by Skull Candy.
Skull Candy have been making the best quality headphones and accessories for years with a unique design, innovative sound technology, and some of the raddest collaborations out there.
The range is everything from earbuds, over-the-head big lads, wired and wireless models, Bluetooth speakers, and even gaming headsets for the nerds. The sound quality is second to none, and the bass that comes out of the Crusher ANC2 is insane.
It is absolutely insane. And if you want to get 20% off your next purchase, make sure you head to skullcandy.eu and use the code BrainDrain20 at checkout. And Toby, let's listen to some wonderful music. But first,
back to the show.
Back to the show. Now, School Candy.
Obviously, that came out and was very well received. Still getting compliments about it now too. Rightly, where did you go from there?
Yeah, well,
did you? Sorry, at that point, were you like, this is what I do now?
100%. Yeah,
that was the turning point.
Yeah, it really like is this awakening within me of like, wow, look what documentaries can do. Look at kind of how good a process it is, and like I was just like, whoa, I can like make a little difference in this world at some point. Do you know what I mean? And it like that felt like a really amazing thing to be able to do, and I fully had the bug. I was like, what? So I was keeping an eye out for all sorts of stories. And I got onto this other one, which I won't talk about loads because it's not about skating, but it's quite interesting. I was like reading like magazines and stuff, looking for, and I read this article about this rapper guy who was like loosely affiliated with the Wu-Tang Clan. He was part of the West Coast Killer Bees. Don't know if you remember that. And he was in the news because he had chopped his penis off.
Andre Johnson Christbearer.
That's the guy. So yeah, Christbearer, part of like they were called North Star, and his rap buddy was called Miko. And I just read
cut his cock off.
He actually did, yeah.
Why?
Well, this is what.
Yeah, no, I mean that pops into your head, right, when you say that sentence.
First question.
Yeah.
Why?
So I'll tell you. This is what I read in his story. It was like he, and in certain instances he had been a bit of a not massively savory character to his partners. So he had 2 or 3 different kids from different women, and he had somehow got a restraining order taken out on him by either one or both of the mums, and he basically couldn't see his kids. And I'm not suggesting that deserves sympathy, because he must have done something quite maybe not very nice. He never actually told me what happened. He was a bit cloudy about that. But he got really bad depression after that kind of part of his life. And I don't know if you've read much about the Wu-Tang Clan, but PCP was quite a prevalent substance that they maybe took at parties, allegedly. And he was at a party in Hollywood after being massively depressed about his situation, and he'd been reading a lot of Buddhist monk books, right? And he somehow, when he was off his nut on PCP at a party in Hollywood, some apartment, he got into his head that was the root of his problems. And he, in a kind of psychotic, sleep-deprived, crazy episode under the influence of PCP and maybe some other stuff, jumps up, grabs a steak. This is like not going to sound nice. He jumps up, grabs a steak knife, hacks his old boy off, and then jumps off a balcony, thinking he's going to die.
Yeah, he says in the documentary, doesn't he? He's like, well, I'm probably going to die now.
Yeah, he's like, and it's like blood, and he's like, jumps, and it's only 2 stories up. So he's just like, and then he like comes to, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, shit. And he actually is like going like, yo, is my dick up there? Give me my dick. Like, fucking surreal stuff, right? So the story, the way I read the story, I just had a child myself. I had my beautiful daughter, Stevie, who is not named after Stevie Williams. Is named after Stevie Nicks.
I would say Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, because like, I told Paul my daughter's name, and he was like, yeah, man, Stevie Williams. And I was like, yeah, man. But so I was kind of drawn in. I was like, wow, if I couldn't see my daughter, don't think I'd chop my old boy off, but I would like be in a really bad way.
Yeah.
So I sort of felt something for this guy, and I was like, that would make an interesting film. And I just sent him Paul's documentary, and he liked it. And he also,
so that's how you got in.
Yeah, he watched that, and then he responded to me and was like, I think he wanted to tell his story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I went over so I again made a little trailer with some Zoom calls with him and some archive and some other stuff and some news stuff, and wrote up the idea, sent it into. Actually, the guy, my contact at Vice, had then moved to BBC Three, and BBC Three were just making all their like stuff go online as opposed to TV, so they wanted content.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, like he knew I could make an all right documentary, and he was like, it's got high profile stuff. It's like interesting issues. It's another mental health story, in amongst other stuff. So yeah, I went over to Long Beach with a camera guy and filmed that documentary. He was living in Vegas, so we started in Vegas, right? Which this is like a mad experience for me. And we interviewed him there, and then we go to Long Beach, which is where he grew up. So like we're talking about like where Warren G raps about, you know what I mean? All this stuff, and like we fully went into the depths of Long Beach with him in his car with he had a mate called Wayne Ripperto II, right? I'm not sure if that's the name he was given at birth, but it sounds like it, yeah. But he was a really funny, like, gangster dude. But he basically was like the fixer. He would like drive us around, take us to places. And yeah, I went into like a Wu-Tang barbershop, interviewed his mate, and then interviewed him in Vegas. Ended up in various kind of parts of Long Beach. One time we were driving around, and the dude is like, yo, it's homie Little Half Dead, right? And I don't know if you've heard that on a Snoop song, right? But Little Half Dead is like a guy that Snoop raps about sometimes. And I'm like, is this for real, this shit? And he's like, yo, he can't be seen this side of the city, so stop filming. So we didn't. So anyway, and all these mad experiences. And at one point, I ended up, me and my camera guy, because at this point, I was like directing. So I wasn't filming. I had a camera guy, which is actually my favorite way to work. I do like filming as well, but being the director, you have the idea and they do the technical hard bit. But, you know, the direction helps. But, and at one point, the guy was like, yo, we got a party. You want to come? And me and the dude were like, me and my camera guy were like, yeah, all right. And so we go to this party in Long Beach. And it was like fully like a scene out of like Boys in the Hood or something. It was like all these guys in this long table, like a couple of them with like Hennessy, some of them rolling a blunt in like $100 bill. And then one of them kind of preaching at the end and they're all going, yeah, man, hell yeah, da, da, da. And like me and this like other skinny little white dude are there like kind of intimidated. And then we started talking to them and they were just like skaters. They were like really down to earth and really sound. And they loved us filming them. And so like, and my mate got some really cool footage and like, these guys are like sound as hell. And then like, yeah, we had a drive back. And then another instance, we were like filming in there, like I think it was like a trap house or something. And they were like, there's these guys that made music and they were all Christ Bearers mates. Christ Bearer being the guy who's in the film. And yeah, we filmed it and then it went out on BBC Three and it's similar length to Paul's. And it's called The Rapper Who Chopped His Penis Off, which I wasn't that keen on that title because I tried to make quite a sensitive film. But the title's not super sensitive yet. But he didn't mind. He was like, yeah, that's all right. Anyway, so that was crazy. And it actually was on iPlayer for like about 8 years. No, 6, 7, a while. It's not on there anymore, but it is on my website. I've got like a link if anyone wants to watch it. But yeah, it's pretty
we'll share
mad. But skate, you know, we're talking documentaries. There was another skate documentary that I made, which is on a level with Paul's in terms of like how proud I am of it and how meaningful it was. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's not everyone's seen it. It's about Ignacio, the Spanish skater.
I watched it when it came out. Yeah.
Did you see it? Yeah. So, wow, that film, like another mad, crazy experience. And like, I think basically so I don't know if you remember when the actual kind of a terror attack had happened in London. So it's called the London Bridge terror attack, and it was in, I think, 2017. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you sort of see this horrible stuff on the news. This attack's happened, and it's like, fuck, like, it's horrible. Like, you know, they drove over people on London Bridge and then started stabbing people in Borough Market, this rampage of these 3 terrorist guys. And then, like, it sort of emerges as the days after the attack. Like, this kind of guy keeps popping up of like, oh, there was this skateboarder who was sort of, you know, got caught up in it, basically. Ignacio. And you're like, well, and then they tell his story and you're like, he's called the London Bridge Skateboard Hero because what he did was he was cycling back through Borough Market after skating with his friends. And there's just like 2 or 3 of them. And they then come across this like terror attack and they're like, what the fuck's going on here? They don't really know. They haven't seen the news. And they're sort of looking around and Ignacio sees a lady being stabbed by these guys and he just jumps off his bike, gets his board and he starts trucking the terrorist guy basically and fighting these guys who've got knives. He's fighting them with his skateboard. And he sort of like distracts them long enough so that they're not attacking this lady anymore. And then they kind of, his dad, it's not actually in the film this bit, but his dad explained in detail the CCTV and basically these guys kind of cornered him. Yeah, and unfortunately he got stabbed and like really quite badly in it, you know. He lost his life, unfortunately. And I remember hearing that story, being on the train, and I was like, fuck, this guy, like a skateboard hero. Like, because obviously, more so in sort of our era, skateboarding was always in the press negative. It was always like, skateboard hoodlums this, skateboard this and that, and yada yada. And I'm like, fucking hell, this guy has just like smashed all that and like is now across the news as the London Bridge skateboard hero. This amazing thing he's done. He saved someone's life. He unfortunately lost his in the process. And it's like, you're just like, and I remember being on the train, just being like, like tears rolling down my face, just being like, wow, this guy did this amazing thing. And like, he instantly just makes you like, I'm so proud to be a skateboarder. I was like, fuck. And a bit of time went by, and I kept having the thought of like, I've got to make a film about this guy. But then you're also aware of the sensitivities of it. Like, it's only just happened. How do you then hit up the family and be like, can I make a film about your son? You know, obviously it would be, you'd kind of approach it in the most sensitive way possible. And I'd learned a bit about that, how to do that in other films. And so a bit more time went by, and I just was like, I've got to do this, or someone else is going to try and do it. And it might not be, you know, it might not do him justice or whatever. So yeah, a bit of time went past, and then I ended up getting hold of his dad, who seemed to be in the media quite a lot. This really lovely guy called Joaquin. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, lovely guy who still messages me to this day, actually. I messaged him, and he was like really, really responsive. Like, just like, I'd love you to come and make a film about my son. And then I've basically found, so part of making a documentary is like, you have to have a bit of a sort of investigative head about you. You kind of like have to be like, okay, who was with him? How do I find them? Where are they? This sort of stuff. Yeah. So I found his friends who were with him on the night, and then his friends who used to skate with him, got in contact with all of them. They were all really lovely and really up for it. So was the family. There was one guy who's in the film who's called, again, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but it's like the Spanish version of Will. So yeah. But lovely chap. But basically, he was with Ignacio at the time, and so he's like a bit in shock, and he's looking somewhere, and he sort of sees Ignacio fighting the guys, and then Ignacio gets stabbed, and then the terrorists come at him, and he like throws his bike at them, and then they're basically gonna, you know, maybe kill him as well. So he has to back off. And then he finds his other mate, Javi, and he's like trying to help him out. And then he's like, we need to go back to Ignacio. But then the police blocked them because the armed police had turned up by that point, so they couldn't get back to their mate. Yeah. But at the time, I think he got a bit of, people gave him a bit of shit online, and he had like awful like survivor's guilt, as you would have, right? Yeah, if you're with a mate and they end up going down and you haven't been able to save them. Not that it was anything, you know, it's completely understandable, the whole situation, but bless him, he was really quite hard to, he was really receptive to the idea, but understandably he was like hesitant about it, because you're like, fuck, if you've already had that horrible experience of people being a bit shitty to you, like, would you want to put yourself out there again? So yeah, so that process like carried on, and we ended up kind of getting the film commissioned at first by Channel 4. And then COVID came and the whole thing got cancelled just as we were about to set off. So again, it's another film that kind of obstacles were in the way and this and that. And yeah, we ended up making it. I went out to see his family in Madrid. In Madrid. And the guy, Will, who was with him, he lived in Bilbao, and spoke to a couple of his mates in London as well, just to skate the skate park.
Mile End,
that's it, yeah. And that was like the whole experience of speaking to his friends, his family, and everything was really, amazing, like intense, but amazing, emotional. I mean, interviewing his dad, right?
His dad at the end of the documentary where he's talking about it, then every other word he's like stuttering, and then he's getting more emotional between. When I first watched that, I was like, fucking hell. Yeah, man.
I'm there like, so I had a translator, so because he couldn't speak English that great, so I had I'm there like asking him the question, and then he responds in Spanish, but I could kind of tell what he was saying. I could see him getting upset, and I'm there like blubbing behind the monitor, trying to hold it together, trying not to make a noise, but listening intensely to this guy. And some, I could understand some of it. And then she would like relay, and I was like, it's a real experience. And they all did themselves proud. They were like so lovely, and Ignacio seemed like such a lovely guy, and I'm gutted I never got to meet him. But anyone, if you haven't seen the film and you're a skateboarder, like, it will make you feel so proud to be a skater, because just the way they celebrated him, all the London guys. And he, one thing I'll say actually is, with regards to Will, the guy who understandably was hesitant about being in the film, he was like, he would be really kind of up for it, and then I wouldn't sort of hear from him for a bit. So out of everyone, he was the one who I wasn't sure if he was going to be there when I got there. And the whole time, right until, and we're talking like a year and a half into like trying to make this thing, I finally get to him in Bilbao, and he's like a surfer dude. So he's there like, and I pull up with my camera guy. I look up, he's on top of the balcony, and he's like, yo, and I'm like, yes, he's here. And then we go in and see him, and he's so lovely and so sound. And then he hits a fucking bong, right? I'm like, he's like, yeah, man, speaking in this really nice, like, thick Spanish accent. And I'm like, damn, are you sure you want to, like, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, fucking hell, how can you do that and then go? But, like, he absolutely gave the most beautiful interview.
Yeah.
And did himself proud. And we sort of finished filming the film, and something really profound happened. I was like, it was such a, I felt the sort of energy from Ignacio as I was talking to his mum and dad, as they were telling me about a skate park that's named after him, as they were talking about his sister was like, they made a skate park in Ignacio's name, like just down the road from the family house. Because in Spain, he is such a hero, and he was just so celebrated in his hometown of Madrid, that they built this skate park and dedicated it to him, and a few other skate parks. And his sister's like, when I hear the skateboarders down there, I can hear the sound of the wheels, and I think of Ignacio. And I'm like, whoa, that's like so beautiful. But I basically, finally, we did interview Will, that guy, and we got it in the can, and it was such an achievement. And I remember going back to like my hotel in Bilbao with these sort of mountains and stuff. It's really nice. And I was like about to get on the plane. I was like, wow, we've got the footage. We've got it. We can make this film. It's like, I was fully confident it was going to be amazing. And actually it was one of the documentaries which was fully just my idea, my direction, my treatment, and it was like fully come out of me. And I just was like feeling really euphoric and emotional. And I was like, yeah, but I need to remind myself that this guy lost his life with this thing. And like, you know, I need to remember him. And I just felt this energy, and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go over to the window, look up to the sky and say a little something to Ignacio. So I go over to the window, I look up, and exactly where I look, a little shooting star goes,
no way,
like that. And I was just like, you're fucking kidding me. And I just broke down. I was like, oh, I started crying. I was like, it just felt so emotional. Of course, it's probably a coincidence, but those special things happen in life. And, you know, in actual fact, I got a tattoo of it.
No,
that's what that is.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I've only got one tat. I've always wanted one. I told my friend when I got back, I was like, I think, can you tattoo this on my arm? Because like, that moment is just one in a million.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the magic of like, you know, what can happen. But yeah, I was so proud of that film.
It was, it's kind of tear-jerking when it gets towards the end and you find out that the woman that he saved survived as well.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, whoa. And like, I think they sort of tried to talk to her a bit, but like, you know, she'd been brutally attacked. Yeah. And had moved to Australia.
Probably doesn't want to relive it as much as everyone else.
Exactly. And I think she might have sent, I think she sent them a message, and you know, they were all really proud of Ignacio, and she's obviously hugely thankful to him. But yeah, like, I mean, that was a little while ago now, that film, but still to this day, I feel like that was almost like my creative peak. Hopefully I will be making more, you know, films, but in terms of like a film meaning something to you.
Yeah,
like,
that's a heavy one.
Yeah,
you know?
Really. You know.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the others are heavy. But there's something.
Yeah, it still gets me,
especially with your links with skating and
100%.
I was going to ask if like the Paul or the Ignacio documentary, and then obviously the Gonzi documentary as well. Yeah. If you ever feel like they would take a toll on like your mental health, you know, because you're hearing these stories, and it's almost like, I think to paint the picture the best, you kind of want to jump into their shoes so their voice is heard. If it like makes you feel drained or like emotional about it, or like, how does that?
Oh my God! After a while, it really did take its toll.
It was like a year and a half, you said. Then the Paul one was a year, and when you watch them, you think it probably took a couple of weeks. Because you think it could be quite a linear thing. It could be quite easy to do. No, a year to a year and a half on one subject, and then thinking about it, and then the work going into it, then hearing their stories, it's got to be quite draining mentally and physically. Yeah,
100%. It really, especially that film, there was like a part of that process which really, I'm always very conscious of like, this is so meaningful to these people, it needs to be told the right way. And like that particular film, especially with this guy who wasn't sure if he wanted to be in it, I really felt that really weighed heavy on me. And like what happened was like, basically we finished making the film, and then we needed to send him a cut so he could like be like, yeah, I'm cool with that sort of thing. And I think I sent him, it was something like we'd finished making the film, everything was done, and I spoke to him just before Christmas, and he was like, hey, Tim, I'm really sorry. You might not be able to put me in because I was speaking to my psychiatrist and they said it might not be very good for me to be in the film. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, if your psychiatrist saying that, like, I believe you, and like, fuck, well, how are we going to make the film? Because he's so key in it. So the whole of Christmas, I was like, thinking about that. And then in January, he gets to see the film. He phones me up in tears going, Tim, man, you're a fucking legend, man. You're a fucking legend. He doesn't have that sort of voice I was trying to do. It's funny. But, you know, he was emotional and like, so was I. And that was like, that was another amazing moment. And now me and Will, we're kind of like linked for life. Like we're connected. We met for like an hour, but I will always have time for that guy. And he's very nice. He'll have time for me. So yeah.
Because they're like life-changing documentaries. So obviously you want to make sure that everyone, like going back to the pool one, you could have sat in your car, you could have watched it and you could have been like, nah, man.
Yeah.
And then that whole year is done.
Yeah, totally.
And he's like, nah, I don't want it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could imagine the amount of pressure being on you to make sure that it comes across in a respectful way to everyone involved is heavy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it did weigh. There were times when I was a bit like, well, I don't know if I can handle this, like, you know. And actually, so then I did have breaks between projects, and like you were saying, there's a guy in Poland I did one on called Gonzi, lovely chap. Yeah, but similar mental health story. And again, you know, you want to make sure you represent them in the right way. And I think at that point in my life, I had started to get a bit stressed out about various things, and it was like, yeah, I made that film and then did another one on a female downhill skater called Jenny, who's amazing, and that was about how adrenaline can like focus you out of like a depression if you're in a bad way, and if you like, I mean, specifically with downhill skateboarding, if you don't concentrate and you're not fully focused, you could die. You could like, and it's similar like with our sort of, you know, in a way with like other skating, as in like if you're having a tough time and you go out and you fully commit to a trick for a short period of time, that stress comes out of your mind because you have to concentrate, otherwise you're fucking gonna slap. So yeah, it can really help, that sort of stuff, I think, you know?
Yeah, very heavy hitting documentaries. Yeah, definitely worth watching. They're all available on your website as well, and on various other sites. You just have to Google them and they're there.
Yeah, totally.
So definitely, if whoever's listening wants to watch them, check them out. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're a skateboarder, you've definitely seen the pool documentary at least. Like I know the pool I think the Ignacio one's like 2 million views, and I think the pool one's at 5 currently. Something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I mean, obviously it helps being on a platform like Vice, but yeah, having that sort of subject matter, you know, and I do really. They're testing as a filmmaker sometimes, those really heavy ones, but like that's really where my passion lies. Like I haven't done a doc for a little bit actually, because one thing is, you know, life's challenges, and I've just had to have stable income, so I've just been kind of working in-house for a company for a bit and this and that. But I do really want to get back on documentaries. Like I think Vice they're kind of not around as much as they used to be. Like I think their London office doesn't exist anymore. They had some troubles, I'm not sure what. There was some kind of bankruptcy or something because they got sold off, and I kept getting letters from like lawyers in America because my intellectual property, in a way, like those films, part of Vice, they were just letting me know that court cases were going on. I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, so yeah, I definitely want to get back on it at some point for sure.
Yeah.
Good.
So is your like, you're saying you're working in-house for companies now, so what is that, directing, filming, or?
It's everything. So that blessed word of videographer, where you end up bloody doing everything. Which
camera operator.
Yeah, where you're like, you know, so I film, I edit, I kind of do everything else, and which, you know, it's nice to work for a local company in Bristol, and I can have a bit more of a like balanced life for a bit, you know, whilst other things are going on, and that's cool. And I can bring a bit of creativity to it and all that sort of stuff. But I definitely am keen to sort of find out other ways of getting, you know, maybe if Vice aren't as prevalent now, then like to kind of get some stories I can tell to audiences. Yeah.
So when it comes to making a documentary that takes a year or so, are you still working in between bits and bobs on other things for that just to keep an income? Because
100%.
I have always wondered, like, something takes a year and a half, where does the income come if you just dedicated it that year and a half? Like, how do you make the ends meet? So I did always wonder if you do. Do you get paid like once it's completed, or?
Yeah, well, so with those things, you'll get like they'll give you like a fee or whatever, and sometimes it's based on days, sometimes it's not, and it's usually kind of just say 50% up front, 50% when I finish, or 25% up front, or there's some sort of way. But yeah, no, I definitely like the one I did on Gonzi, and then the downhill skateboarder straight after that. They were very close together, so I could just live off that sort of income. I think I fitted in a shoot to Marseille for Birkenstock in between, but it was after COVID, so I was trying to catch up on it. And actually, I got a bit stressed because everything was like too much at one point. But yeah, in the freelance world, I kind of I have to have as much going on as possible really to survive.
Can't say no to jobs. You just gotta
exactly.
It,
and whether it's thankfully after those films, people have hired me as a director for docos and stuff. They've been like, we've seen this.
I mean, it's a fucking good showreel, isn't it? All the stuff.
Oh man,
done,
I'm so proud.
Your website's extremely impressive.
Yeah,
what's on there. Like the client list is insane.
Oh, nice.
I was going through it yesterday, and I was like, this fucking bastard.
yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, so probably 20 years I was freelancing for, and now just the last 6 months I've been in-house. So yeah, a long time. But
have you got any like ideas that you can kind of give little teasers for right now? So it's like, is there anyone that you want to work on a documentary, Brain Drain?
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Is there like any other? Do you want to lean more into like the skateboarding side of stuff, or do something else? Is there anyone in mind at the moment where you're like,
I do,
this could make a good story, where you're not going to tell us? And it's
no,
gonna blow
100%.
the idea?
No, it's cool. Yeah. So in terms of the reason why I've done a lot of skate stuff is because being in the skate world, obviously you have access to those stories.
Well, the doors are open.
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah, and like I knew Paul, I heard about Ignacio, and they all kind of had that driving force. But I also, the thing that I really like about those films is like it's actually not that they're skate docs. It's like the mental health stuff with Paul, or the like sharing Ignacio's story. And I've worked on a couple of other docs for like Warner Brothers on a music one and like this and that. But that one actually isn't. I don't think it's ever going to come out because they got taken over, and then the people I worked for anyway, it all went tits up. But yeah, so I do work on other stuff, like not skate stuff, and there's definitely a project that's been in my mind for a long time, well, for a little while, but it's one that as soon as I blurt it out, someone's gonna try and go and make it, so it's kind of hard.
All right, don't tell us then.
But
tell us after.
But it's one that I'd have to. Yeah, I'll tell you after. It's one that I definitely have to pluck up some courage for, because it's quite. Yeah, it's within the skate world, but it's on an international scale. But yeah, I can't say anything else because it's like I'm not being like it's what happens basically. Like I could say it and then someone just.
Well, if that's your bread and butter, really, that's what you're gonna.
Work towards. Actually, it's just
we don't want you to say it on this and then someone goes, writes a proposal to someone.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, if the story got told, that would be the main thing, whoever does it. But
I think as a filmmaker, though, it's kind of like trying to patent something, isn't it? Like you can't really share too much because somebody quite easily could just go like, well, I'm just going to do that now.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like filming a trick, isn't it? You say to someone before your video comes out, I filmed Toby do this there, and then they're like, fuck, well, I'm going to go with this person, and they're going to flip out of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like you don't want someone to kind of get in there before your body of works came out.
Yeah, and like even when I was sort of making the film about Ignacio, I would be constantly, because obviously that took a while, and I was constantly scanning the internet, and I'd be like, shit, someone's already made a documentary about it, but it would just be like a friend who'd done like a little video and this
or like
and that.
a YouTube
kind of, and it's and it's obviously like with that sort of thing, it's like I don't own that story. I'm not, it's not my, like before I made it, it's like I don't have any right to make anything over anyone else, really. It's just, you're just like, if someone brings a doc out like a month before your one comes out, it just makes it harder for that project to be successful. But yeah, no, I definitely have a hunger for getting on another doc. There's some other stories out there I could probably get into, but yeah, it's like finding with Vice. I got to a stage where I would literally take them an idea, they'd be like, yep, sweet, we know you can do a good job, let's do it. And I was on a bit of a run, so that was. But all those people who used to work there don't work there anymore. Right. There are other people I could connect with, and I have done a bit, but it just seems like there's less. They have less opportunity to kind of make stuff like that these days, but
less budgets, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
It's like everything, isn't it? It's just, no one's got any bloody money.
Oh no, where's the money?
Not at the minute.
Give me the money. Stop right there, Forde. Tell everybody who is the show sponsor today.
Today's show sponsor is Slappy Trucks. Slappy Trucks was invented by Mike Sinclair. He had a little look at his trucks during lockdown and thought, I might just have a way to make these better.
Slappy provides the best grind clearance, confirmed by Professor Schmidt, the quickest turn, less wheel bite, and no break-in time at all.
They also have a huge selection of sizes, including the new 13-inch bad boys, Not only that, they've got Arissa True and the one and only Curb Killer on the team.
I'm currently rocking the new ultra low inverted kingpin trucks, and they are super duper fantastic.
Would you say you're enjoying them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very, very low kingpins.
If you want to check out the wide range of Slappy trucks, make sure you head to www.rollersnakes.co.uk and see what we have in stock.
Slappy trucks, skateboarding just got easier.
Did you come up with that tagline yourself?
Yeah, just now. Back to the show.
Okay, back to the show. Back to the show.
Back to the show.
Now.
I have to have the final one. Back to the show.
Back to the show now.
Where are you with skating at the minute then? Are you still skating a lot?
Yeah, I am absolutely loving skating.
Good.
I still skate as much as I can, as hard as I can.
Yeah, you don't pop nollie flips like that one outside without doing that regularly.
I really love skateboarding. You know, it's always been my life source. It's always been like, you know, with the rest of us, I absolutely love it. And, you know, even at the tender age of 44, when I go skating, I'm like a bit like not a cracker, but like I cannot stop skating. I'm like hungry for it, like a panting dog, covered in sweat.
Labrador energy.
Yeah, and I kind of like there's this spot in Bristol, which people have probably seen, which is like, so there's Dean Lane Skate Park, and then there's like a tennis court on top, and they've like resurfaced that and turned it into the slab, right?
Yeah.
So it's like beautiful flat concrete, and then a couple of nice ledges, and now a couple of quarter pipes, and it's just like perfect for like people like me. And I honestly feel like there was a phase where there was not really many like good little low ledges in Bristol or anything like that, and I was like, I'm probably never going to be able to do a nollie flip no slide again because there's nothing really to like hit it up on.
Yeah.
And as soon as this spot comes up, it's got like a little ledge which is like perfect for like relearning tricks and stuff.
Training.
Yeah, exactly. And it's beautiful smooth surface, and like it's great for flatland and all this stuff. And after a while of skating there, like all sorts of tricks were just coming back to me, and I was learning new ones.
Yeah.
And like I'll honestly say, like I put a lot into skating at the moment, and I like it really keeps you going, you know. It's like in our sort of older years, like skateboarding really has a place in terms of like maintaining your mental health, or, you know, just going out for a cruise if you've got stuff going on and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's such a good thing to have, and such a good community to have. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's kind of like therapy, isn't it? Skateboarding. It's a really good mood changer.
Exactly.
Whether that's for the better or the worse, depending on how it goes.
Yeah,
but like, I think if you go out with no expectations, I learned that quite a while back. Like, to never go out thinking I want to do this, that, or the other. Just go, and whatever you get, or whatever happens. I
think like fully. When I stopped being a sponsored skateboarder, I had a few years in sort of like my early 30s where I was like getting really quite frustrated that I couldn't quite do the stuff I used to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I had that sort of grumpy phase that probably a lot of us get. And I was like getting a bit miffed, but I never stopped. And then I just clicked, and I sort of changed, and I was like, just enjoy it. It's fun. That's the main thing about skateboarding.
You got to remember, at the end of the day, it is a toy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's there to have fun.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, and
the reason why we love it is it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. You never forget that.
And I just sort of took that pressure off myself, and just really have just loved it ever since, you know. And I feel so lucky to be in my mid-40s and have skateboard to go out on
still.
Yeah. And like, even if it's a cruiser setup or something, if I'm a bit injured or whatever, there's like quite a cool hill by like my house, and like, just go up to the top, put some tunes on, bomb down it, and you're on top of the world. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I have this conversation with you quite a bit, Sean, when you've been injured a lot over the last few months. Like, even if like you're bummed out, that you're hurt and you can't skate to how that, you know, the standard you want to skate to.
Yeah.
Just bring your cruiser board out and just roll around. And
that's kind of over the last couple of weeks I've just started getting that back. But I really feel what you was just saying about I'm going through that phase now where I'm starting to feel a little bit frustrated because things aren't as easy as they were.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to find a way to like accept it in my head.
That's it. Yeah. I was really struggling for a bit with it, just of like, I was just like,
well, you've always got expectations. When you've been skating for so long, you remember what you could do. It's kind of what you were saying about what Paul was saying in the documentary as well. You've always got that, like, I used to be able to fucking do this.
Yeah.
And I think there has to come a point, and I think I did it probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I had to, like, let go.
Yeah.
And just be, this is what it is now.
Yeah, of course.
Enjoy it and have no kind of expectations. And from that point, I've been a lot kind of chill.
I feel like at the moment you're like my emotional coach in skateboarding.
That's great. I love that.
Emo coach.
Yeah, big time.
So what's your future in videography? And do you think that you'll go into like a full-length piece? And what's your next steps in life? What are your personal achievements and what do you want to get out of it?
Yeah, totally. So I feel like it's kind of hard with video work at the moment because like it's changing a lot, like the way people watch things, the way people make things, and it's actually really, I'm glad I've got an in-house job at the moment because it's really quite tough being a freelancer. I think I know a lot of people who are struggling, particularly people who worked in like traditional sort of TV stuff, because a lot of the audience is like swayed away from like watching, you know, TV at a certain time to like either being like watching, like YouTube has a massive share of the audience at the moment. Which is, you know, not necessarily a bad thing. I've always made a lot of sort of online digital stuff, so for me that's not too bad. But yeah, it's really kind of precarious out there so I'm lucky I've got an in-house job. So it's kind of hard because in one sense it suppresses your creativity a bit because you're like, oh, I just really need to fucking pay the bills. I need to pay the rent. And it's like, that is a big pressure. And, you know, it's kind of hard to do freelance sometimes. And, you know, I just about managed it. And I think it's kind of hard to like map out your future in a way when you're like, shit, like I need to just make sure I can pay the rent. I need to like make sure I've got like a, you know, somewhere, you know, for my family and all that sort of stuff. So it's, I think at the moment I'm just kind of like concentrating on keeping things stable, you know, earning what I can to get by and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like I do have definitely aspirations to, I want to like, ideally, I want to get back into documentary filmmaking. I want to make some more documentaries myself. I've got a few friends who work on Netflix documentaries and stuff. And like every now and then an opportunity pops up. I haven't been able to take it yet, but I would love to get to that level of documentary. Like I definitely think like documentary is my true passion. And, you know, I think
it sounds like it when you're talking about it, you can see that spark in your eye, you know, you're like, and the stuff you've put out has been exceptional.
Oh, thanks,
so,
man.
I think,
it's definitely, it's definitely that aim for sure. And like, but I've had to kind of just concentrate on being stable, I guess, for a while now, because I've had a few life challenges myself.
Tell us about that, Tim.
Yes. Well, so, I mean, I say it's been going on recently, but it's kind of like I've sort of worked out that, you know, it's kind of been going on my whole life really. But, and this kind of relates back to as well, like what part skateboarding can take in your life when you're kind of like our age and fully grown adults. And it's kind of always there. It's always there to go and do. The skate park's always there. If you're maybe like a bit lonely or you're struggling with some stuff, there's always the skate park. And I find like specifically with the Slab in Bristol, that whole community, if I'm like, you know, feeling quite stressed and stuff like that, I can go down to the skate park and there will be either people that I know there, or there'll be like some people I can get to know, like I can skate, I can have a session and all this sort of stuff. So like, having skateboarding at our age is like fucking great. It can help you through life stuff.
Yeah.
And I was actually speaking to a friend at the Slab the other day, and he was like, he'd recently been through some gnarly shit, and he was like, you know, it's a cliched phrase, but he was like, man, skateboarding saved my life. He's like, he reckons it, you know, he was in such a bad way that he wasn't, you know, doing too good. And he was like, because I could come to the skate park and hang out with some friends, and, you know, Dean Lane skate park in particular, it's just a wicked community. You know, it can really help. And like, for me, it's definitely helped. Like, so I kind of have had, kind of like a tough time in the last couple of years. And it really culminated at the beginning of this year when I went through like a big breakup with my ex-partner, who I'd been going out with for 15 years, who's like an amazing lady. She's awesome, and we're good now. But we had a kid together, my beautiful daughter Stevie, who's
After
amazing.
Stevie Williams,
yeah, totally. She's got a good switch high flip now. But you know, she's this lovely little 10-year-old girl. She's like full of beans. She's, you know, I love her so much. And we were actually born on the same day. We shared the same birthday.
Oh, amazing!
Like 34 years apart.
That's some serious scheduling.
Yeah, totally.
I guess you got to do that when you're freelance. Right? You got to get it booked in.
Yeah, I like, you know, she was born, and like, you know, we're sort of in the hospital, and like, I've got a little picture I took of her in my hand, and then her mum was like, look, we've got to stay in. I know your friends are at the pub at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Do you want to go and see him for a birthday beer and wet the baby's head? And I was like, wow, you're kidding me. So like, oh yeah, my daughter's born. It's a mad kind of moment. And then I go down and the next thing I'm having a few pints with my friends at the pub and my little child and my partner at the time was up there. And yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, we're really close. But yeah, so, I mean, going through a breakup is of that kind of magnitude is like one hell of a thing anyway. But I've also, so at various points in my life, I sort of realized that I'm not straight, right? And this has been something which I've sort of like buried over the years. Like it's been really tough and it's kind of understandable, like in a way, because like, so with sexuality, there's like a whole scale of stuff, right? So there's like, they call it the Kinsley scale. Yeah. And so there's like totally straight, totally gay, loads of stuff in between, right? Most people say, oh, no, I'm right there. But, most people are kind of like there or wherever. But there's a whole scale of stuff, right? But as a kid growing up in the 80s in the countryside and this and that, if you sort of, it wasn't something that was super obvious to me in my childhood. I think there was some kind of curiosity there, but it wasn't, whenever it popped up, I was like, oh no, that can't be me. I can't, it's like, the worst thing you could think of as a young boy. Like, not the reality is not the worst thing you could think of, but being like a young boy in the 80s, like, you don't see, there's not really many positive role models that are either gay or bisexual. On like, the only gay characters on TV in the 80s either were, dying of AIDS or were like some really funny kind of camp comedian. And it's there wasn't a version of me or anyone else that you could kind of look at and be like, oh, like that's that's okay and that's a nice life. It would be like the only things I thought about it or the impression I received from anyone who was gay, it was like, oh, it could be the worst thing ever. And like boys in the playground were constantly going, oh, that's gay, that's really gay, using it in this stupid way that we've all heard. And I don't know if I said that as a kid, but I might have joined in on that. So I'm not sort of saying anyone who says that is homophobic, but it is a homophobic thing to say. But it's something that gets shot around a lot. So as a young kid, you're like, I can't be that. That can't be me. Even if I feel like a part of it might be me. And it was like, so I just, as soon as it ever popped into my head, I would just bury it. And I'd be like, no problem. No, that's not me. And yeah, it wasn't massively obvious. And like, when I talk about that scale, it's like, if there's a little bit of you that feels like it's straight, it's way easier to kind of just be like, yeah, cool, I'll follow that path. And like, society assumes you're straight, life assumes you're straight, and women are just sexualized all over like billboards and on TV, and you're like, you kind of fall into that role. And that's what happened with me. And I didn't really know what was going on, but it sort of manifested in like, as I got older, it manifested in anxiety. And it was like, I was burying this thing, and I honestly went through like years of it not even really being in my head, and not really, that's how kind of strange this whole experience has been. So I had like my first girlfriend for a couple of years, and that was like any other sort of relationship. It didn't really pop into my head then. And I think, there was a few points where I would like kind of experience like a bit of an attraction towards a guy, and I would be like, no, that's just my mind playing tricks on me. That can't be right. And like, I actually, when I was younger as well, I had like a bit of a problem with like intrusive thoughts. I sort of discovered that your brain can kind of go to difficult places and it can latch onto things, and it spun me out. And I ended up going to the doctor, and he was like, he's got a really overactive mind. He's okay. It'll be okay. Back then, that was all they could kind of say. Yeah. So I was then phrased in my head. I kind of phrased the rest of my life as like, oh, I've got this overactive mind. So yes, sometimes like things pop into my head which aren't, so first time I sort of experienced those attractions, I was like, that's just my mind going a bit crazy. It's not, that's not me, whatever. And because it's so confusing, because I, had a kind of happy relationship with a girl and this and that. And so I just kind of carried on and like, again, just like repressed it right down. Like I buried it as deep as I could. Not always that consciously, like just kind of like scared, bury it, it's fine. A bit of me's kind of straight. So, So anyway, so years go on. I have like, I don't really, like any other young guy at university, I have various short-term relationships with girls and this and that. And again, it's not really in my head at all, on my radar. I'm just like, but I have like an underlying feeling of like something's not quite right, or like I feel anxious, and I don't know why. And if I ever consider that thought, I'm just like, no, that's not, because that can't be me, because like I find girls quite sexy sometimes, and this is that. But then I feel a bit strange when I'm in a relationship, like, because with a woman, because like, you know, obviously they expect you to be straight, and if you have any sort of doubt in your head, you feel like you're not being true to them or to yourself, and it sort of goes round and round. So it was very on and off as I was growing up, especially kind of like into my late 20s and this sort of stuff. And then, I had another long-term relationship with a girl, and that kind of was just kind of, you know, didn't kind of end up working out, but there was definitely nice moments in it. And then like those thoughts would kind of resurface, and I would be like, do I need to pay attention to these? I'm not sure. Like, it's like, it was doing me a lot of harm not paying attention to it. And anyway, I just buried it for one reason or another. And then I met my most recent ex-partner, who, is amazing woman. You know, I'll keep her. I won't mention her name for her own privacy, and I'll respect her privacy because she deserves that. But yes, I had a long-term relationship with her, and by all accounts, like any other kind of relationship, lots of very nice feelings, especially at the start, this and that. And then we had my daughter again, and sort of when a child is brought into the mix and you have a family unit, like I really enjoyed, you know, I had a lot of loving feelings towards her mum, and that whole thing of having your first family is just like, whoa, like, this is pretty cool. This is amazing. And you'll do whatever you can to kind of keep that unit. So none of those thoughts kind of popped into my head at that point, although I did get a bit of anxiety and a bit of kind of, just feeling a bit out of sorts and not quite right. And it would play on my mind a bit, and then it would go away. But if I was around my daughter and her mum, I'd be calm, because I'd be like, they're not going anywhere. Nothing's messing up. Yeah. So anyway, I continued to not deal with this issue. And then just over time, probably like the sort of second or the third sort of 30% or like half, sort of later half of our relationship, our characters just weren't really kind of matching, and we sort of started to not, the relationship wasn't working out. And after a while I was like, fuck, like, is this because of this thing I haven't dealt with? Like, fuck. And then it's like it starts to snowball, and I started to get fucking crazy anxiety, like, oh my god, am I in a family and I'm not telling this person who I really care about who I actually am, and she doesn't know all this shit that's going on with me, and I wasn't really probably wasn't that fun a partner to be with, because I was just like so stressed and anxious and really bad insomnia. Anyway, even with all that stuff, I could not kind of bring myself to open up and, say like, I need to talk to you. I'm not sure. I was petrified about her knowing, because I thought that would really hurt her. And I felt like I was like betraying people. And, like skateboarding really came in handy in those moments, because I could go out on my board, and like, even if it was a cruiser, I would just go out on like really long cruises, put my headphones on, and like that anxiety would dissipate like that. And then the skate community, I would kind of go and hang out with people, and like, I wasn't able to open up to any of them about it though, right? So I had this barrier between, no one knew, no one. So like my friends, and I love my friends, I'm really open sort of guy as well. So this was really like conflicting for me. And I love like, really good deep friendships, and it was horrible hiding that from my friends, and like also for my family and from my direct, two people I was with. So so that went on for a bit, and, for one reason or another, our relationship kind of came to an end. And then of course at that point, I'm like, fuck, like, that's the right thing. And I have to face this thing, and I'm going to have to talk to my ex-partner and tell her. And I was absolutely petrified of that moment, because you feel like you've been leading people astray, or even your friends, you haven't been honest with them. You're going to think that they're going to think that like you were, I don't know, kind of like just like lying to them and stuff. And like, you're lying to yourself a bit in that instance. And anyway, it was fucking so testing. And so the relationship came to the end, and I had this like huge life issue going on, and I was having to face, sooner or later, I'm going to move out of this family home. I'm going to start seeing my daughter 50% less. So much kind of things going on that it just got
heavy shit.
Yeah, it got so much. And it was like these 3 huge life issues all going at the same time. So we're talking like January of this year, so not that long ago. And it affected me so much. Like, I think for like years I'd had insomnia as well, like, which was fucking awful. So like my sort of body and sort of nervous system had just been like breaking down. And then I actually reached a stage with all this. So I wasn't sleeping. I was like holding it all in, and then I just buckled. And I called my friend Jay, who's like the best mate anyone could have, and he's also a counsellor, but you can't counsel.
Big up Jay.
Yeah, big up Jay.
Yeah, shout out to
Fuck
Jay.
yes. And he actually, I phoned him before that. Actually, like just I can't remember. Yeah, sort of before I was at my peak. But yeah, and like he just has been like the best support a friend can be. Like always there for me. And yeah, like, so that was my first like mini coming out, and I was like, yeah, I don't really know fully, like I don't know if I would call myself gay, because I like still sort of attracted to women. I don't know if that's like like I'm kind of conditioned myself to be like that, or if that's real. It's really confusing. And he was like, man, you need to go and speak to someone. You need to see a therapist. And he kept saying it, and I couldn't quite acknowledge that, because the minute I did that, the story would, it would all kind of come out and this and that. But after a while I did. And it was the best fucking thing I could have done. I found this therapist guy who had kind of had a little bit of similar experience, in that he'd been kind of, I guess, sort of exploring that side of himself in later life and this stuff. And so for anyone else who's kind of struggling, so when you look for a therapist, you like go on a directory, look for the keywords of what you're going through. Obviously the LGBT stuff was really important, and anxiety and this sort of stuff. So pick 2 or 3. I found like 2 or 3. They usually offer like a free 15-minute phone call or a Zoom, and you then get a flavour of them. They get a flavour of you, and you sort of get some sort of hunch. So I spoke to a few, and they weren't quite right. And I spoke to this guy, and just from speaking to him, I was like, this is the guy. Because for a while I was like, I don't think I could open up to a guy. I used to be a woman, and I'd had therapy in the past, but I wasn't able to kind of fully open up, because I knew if I did, my family would break up and it would all come out. So it's kind of like, once you've gone so far down that rabbit hole, it's really hard to pull yourself out of it in a way. So anyway, I had these fucking crazy things going on January of this year. So relationships finished, something I'd been kind of petrified about for years. I then felt the need to speak to my ex-partner about it, which I was petrified about. And I was like, I'm fully aware that I'm going to start seeing my daughter less, who I'm really fond of and have that really strong bond with. So anyway, this all took a real toll, and
understandably,
it was
fucking
heavy
horrible,
shit, man.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god, and thankfully I'm in a much better place now, but it was scary. I basically got to a stage where I was not sleeping. I was like 2 hours max, and then I'd wake up and I'd be like fucking catastrophizing everything. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you know about that. So basically, you go to the worst place about everything, whatever it may be. And actually, at this point as well, I just started this in-house job. This very same time, all these things are going on, and I've never really, creative people are a bit kind of scared of being in an office full of people you've never met, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had all this kind of anxiety about this new job as well, and I was just like petrified about everything. I was a fucking mess. So I went into the job, and after a few weeks, I had such bad insomnia. I was like I was so worried about how I looked. I thought I might look like I was on something or whatever. And I just like was in one of these kind of meetings, like with my glass of water there, like shaking, like, and I was like, I'm either going to lose this job or I've got to talk to the boss. And thankfully, they're a really nice bunch of people. My bosses are 2 lovely ladies. And I was like, can I just speak to you for a minute? I'm like, and she's like, yeah, cool. And I was like, got into this room. I was like, can I talk to you about some personal stuff? And she's like, of course, yeah. And I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, the job's really cool. I was like, but I'm basically going through this crazy breakup and da-da-da. And then I was like, yeah, there's this other thing going on. Like, I've got all this confusion about my sexuality going on. And I was just like fucking hyperventilating. And I'd essentially blurbed out what I hadn't yet had the strength to talk to my ex-partner about, to this lady at work who was really fucking lovely, and was like, look, take the day off, go calm down. Like, fucking hell, that's a lot. Like, don't worry. Like, it's all right. Like, and she kind of calmed me down. And then I was like, I've just spoken to this lady who I've only known for a few weeks about this really personal stuff. I now need to call my ex-partner, and I need to go and talk to her. So I stumble out of the office in tears, like that. I could barely walk. And I'm like, start hyperventilating, because this moment has been building, for like a while. And I get to my bike, I sort of almost collapse, and then I'm kind of, so it's at the top of this big hill in Bristol called Park Street, and I like call my ex-partner, and I'm like, are you in? Because I was still living with them at that point. I was like, I really, really need to talk to you. I'm really sorry. And we'd already broken up, so like, you know, we're in that phase. And I was like, are you in? I need to speak to you. And I basically got on my bike, cycled down Park Street. I'm like in the middle of a panic attack, basically. Like, all these tears coming down my eyes. And I get there, I kind of like crawling in the fucking door, and she's like, what's up? What's the matter? Like, she's still, you know, obviously cares about me. And she's like, a not really nice person. And I was like convinced she was going to go like, you fucking what? Get the fuck out of the house, this and that. Not because I thought she was a bad person, but just because I thought about what it would do to her emotionally. So I then, I'm there on the sofa. I just can't get it out. I'm like, I know I have to, but I can't get it out. And then I go, I'm really sorry. I'm like, I've got all this confusion going on about my sexuality. And she's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? Like, fuck, like compassionate straight away, like compassionate. And I'm like,
immediate shift.
Yeah, just like she cared about, you know, she was like, and I was just like, I'm really, really sorry. Like, it's been going on for a while. And I was so worried about what you might think. And like, I just wanted to tell you because I need to tell you. And like, and she was just like amazing. She was like really caring towards me. And I just felt this like weight just be like off me. Yeah. And I was just like, what? So you don't hate me? And she's like, no. She's like, obviously this is a lot. This is a lot for me to take in. She's like, but are you okay? She was really concerned about me because I was a fucking mess. Because before that, I basically, well, at that point as well, and it carried on for a bit. I couldn't sleep. I got to a stage where I could barely eat as well. So like wasting away. And then I sort of started to develop like a stutter because I was my functions were just breaking down. It was fucking awful. But in that moment, she was just really caring towards me, and I was just like, wow. And so I sort of explained it, you know, in ways to her, and I've been like, you know, it has been going on for a while. I've been worried about telling you. I think it's been going on my whole life. I feel really confused, but I need to work it out because it's had the best of me for, you know, a long time. So anyway, so like went through all that, and then I'm like, I was in disbelief because for a while I was willing to just sit on this for the rest of my life. There was a point when I was like, I don't want to hurt all these people. I just want to, you know, it's not the best thing for me to hold it in, but I can't bring myself. So I was like, and a lot of people unfortunately do that. Yeah. You know, it sucks. It really sucks because, and I guess that's why I want to talk about it, right? Because there are people out there who, I mean, things are a lot better these days, but it's still tough. It's still tough to be a gay person. It's probably still tough to be like a gay kid at school or like a trans kid, or, you know, and like the world is an aggressive place. And, you know, especially like the way trans people have been treated recently, it's like dehumanized on a daily level in like politics. You know, you've got leaders of both leading, like the UK and the US, openly, you know, sort of putting trans people down, and like just been hammered for so long, and it's just awful. It's not right. Like, you know, and there's trans skaters out there. We need to fucking look out for people, not just because there's trans skaters, but just people, like, really do. But yeah, like, so I was at that stage, but thankfully this chain of events happened, and it was painful as fuck. But I got to a stage where I could talk to my ex-partner about it. Like I said, we'd already broken up, and the reason I wanted to tell her about it was because, well, it's kind of obvious, really. You just need to get that off your chest, and like whatever happens from there, you know. Anyway, so I told her, and then I was like, I had a few hours in the house chatting to her, and I left, and I went up to this hill in Bristol in St. Werburgh's, in the place where I lived at that point, which is a beautiful hill overlooking the countryside. I stood on top of the hill. I phoned my mate Jay, and I'm like, you'll never fucking guess what I just did. And I'd like finally spoke to my ex-partner, and she was really, really, you know, really lovely to me. And I was just like, I felt this amazing euphoria for like a few hours, and I was just like on top of this hill, just like, wow. Like
big rainbow in the sky.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa, I couldn't believe it, right? And I'd like to say that everything was great from then on in, but that, you know, I won't go on too much about it, but that was kind of short-lived in the fact that it was like that I felt really amazing for like 2 or 3 days, and then, you know, we sort of, a lot of couples that I've realized do this, like I couldn't afford to move out at the time, and my ex-partner couldn't afford me to move out, and we were kind of on goodish terms, or there was kind of like obviously a lot of, and anyway, so, you know, a few months down the line, like my work were really lovely. And I slowly but surely have opened up to like only a group of like 10 or 12 friends and my family so far. So even this is part of me coming out.
Well,
right?
fucking good luck on that. So we have 1 million
Yeah.
active monthly listeners.
I know. Exactly. And like, in some sense, like, I'm putting myself in quite a vulnerable position. Like that, your audience is lovely, but the internet's the internet. There may be this might be my first, I might experience my first homophobic comment in the comments, but who gives a fuck about those
That's
people?
the attitude to have.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck.
I do not give a fuck. This is about me.
Me and Toby will go around and fucking batter them.
Yeah.
We'll rephrase that. Forde will come around and batter you, not me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
You're not a
anything.
violent guy.
I'm just going to go home and have a nap.
Yeah, but it's been a fucking crazy thing to go through.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in so much of a better place now. Obviously, it's still, it still takes a bit of work. Like, so I see a therapist every Monday who's like fucking amazing. Like, like if I could, I'd be like, hey, dudes, like hit him up. Like, I don't know what sort of boundaries are in place, but like, I just happen to have landed with a guy who I really get. He's the sort of guy I could go and have a good few pints with, but you can't really because there's like,
They're not allowed.
boundaries. Yeah. But like, I would say, if anybody out there is struggling with this or anything else, what I found was it's like when your feelings and emotions get so fucking scary that you can't quite compute, you can't quite deal with them, it really puts you in a difficult spot. And at that point, you're either like going to pick up a substance or you're going to grab a drink or you're going to avoid those emotions, and they're just going to get worse and they're going to stipulate, and it's going to really do you physically and mentally a lot of damage. So I would say like it kind of like talking therapy is that's just kind of normal therapy is the best way to kind of help yourself learn to get yourself out of that situation. Like I've definitely built up a lot of strength and resilience. The catastrophizing has stopped. I've learned so much through this therapy, and I appreciate it costs money, and it, there are people out there who've probably gone through what I've gone through, but might not have enough money to get therapy. They might not have as supportive a friends network as me. They might not, have access to anything else that can help them through it. Like, and that really sucks because, I kind of wish that therapy was easy to get on the NHS, and I tried, and it is not easy. It's quite insufficient what I did get when I got it, and it didn't really. It was like, oh, we'll give you this app. Oh, sweet. I was like, I need to fucking offload to someone. But nope, they gave me an app. And then like, oh no, once a month you can talk to someone. I'm like, man, I've got about 3 years worth of talking in me.
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, you've got 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I had that
Great.
with mine. And it's just like, well, like I actually had a therapist say to me like, oh, well, you need to get better soon because we've only got 4 weeks left.
Fuck.
It's just like, what the fuck does that? That means nothing. Yeah. Like
exactly. It's fucked. And like
the guy that I went to see therapy wise, when we finished, it was like I think it was like a year, like a session or 2 a week. Yeah. Then on the last session, he was like, I'm going to give you my email and my number. Yeah. And if you just want to email about anything or call, he said, respectfully, there's only certain situations I can help you with. Yeah. But even him just being like, here's a line that's still open. Yeah. So then for a couple of months after that, I'd be like, oh, I felt like this. Have you got any help guides with this? And he'd be like, read this and this, and then get back to me, and then I'm going to ask you about these questions.
Yeah, he's obviously invested in your well-being there.
And that was the first person I seen. Yeah. And it was like, when we met face to face, it was like just jokey and laughy. And then we'd like have a joke and a laugh about it, but then he'd be like, right, get to the point. Yeah. What are you here for? Yeah. And it was like someone made me just go, you've got to I can talk around circles all day, but he was like, get to in a good way. He was like, get to the point and tell me straight. And I was like, and I still didn't know how to like say that I was struggling with stuff in life. Yeah. But he fully took me like to his level. And once I spoke about it, it was like, oh, I'm just going to be as honest as possible.
100%. Yeah. And that's when it works. Like, 'cause I did have a few goes at therapy before, but it was when I was still, my family unit was still together, and I just couldn't get there because I was so scared about,
the repercussions of it.
Yeah, causing everyone like pain and breaking up and like.
And do you think that would have been different? You think you wouldn't have been feeling as much weight on you if you hadn't have had a daughter?
Well,
do you think?
Yeah, there is definitely an element of that. But it's like, I mean, my daughter's like, she's you know, she's so lovely. She kind of she goes to such a very, like a multi-faith school in this very sort of liberal part of, I mean, Bristol's a very liberal city anyway, but she sees all walks of life. And actually, like, me and Wes went to Pride at the weekend, and we were there with our kids.
He messaged me saying, I said, you coming to the Volta rally? He said, I'm going to Pride. And I was just like, you know what, Wes?
Yeah.
You have a fucking good day.
Yeah, exactly.
And I spent loads of time with Wes, and Wes is just like, Wes is straightforward and honest, and he respects how people feel. Yeah. And when I was in America with him, I spoke to him a lot in the car when we were driving. Yeah. And he never once puts across a question in a way that makes you feel stupid. Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. I was going to ask, was Wes one of the people you spoke to?
Yeah, he 100% was. Yeah.
He's not judgmental at all.
No, exactly.
I've got so much time
for
Wes.
So supportive, just really lovely. And I'm lucky, you know, everybody I mean, you know. And actually what kind of happened is, like, each of my friends, like, I'd had this barrier between me and them for a long time, which really sucked, because, like, when you're going through something like that, it's like, even when you're happy, you're not really that happy because you've got this little thing going on, and, like, I hated having that barrier between me and them. And now what's happened is, with the people that I've spoken to, is like our friendships have become deepened, because like they've opened up to me about a few things, and, you know, different subjects, but still, you know, and I've now got such a good connection. And like Wes is one of those people, and like you know, like, just to bring like a happy element to this story, like, well, actually I was talking about my daughter quickly. So I only spoke to her like 3-4 days ago about this whole thing, right? And that's a whole thing in your head. You're like, will my daughter, she's only 10, right? It's like, will she understand?
Will she understand?
Yeah. And you know, some people were like, oh, are you sure? Like, will it confuse her and this and that? And I sort of batted around in my head for a long time. And I was speaking to my therapist about it, and he sort of had a really good take on it, which I totally agree with. Was like, well, you know, if you show your daughter that this stuff is okay to talk about, then, you know, you're a blueprint for them, for your kids. And like, she will then know that if she ever has that confusion, she will feel like she can talk about it, because her dad showed her, and he talked to her about it. And actually, I talked to her about it, and she was just absolutely lovely. And she was kind of funny, because she's at that age where she's constantly like taking the mickey out of me and stuff. And at first she was like, "You're not gay, are you?" And like, not in like a, "Oh, that's a bad thing." She was just like, "What are you on about?" And I was like, "Well, Stevie, like, you know, when I was younger, I couldn't really kind of compute it and this and that." And I was like, "Yeah." And like, I've had to hide it for a long time, and I was really worried about everything. And I'm kind of working it out, and like, I you know, I'm not a straight person. I'm somewhere on that scale, and she's like, "Oh wow," like, she's like, "That's amazing." She's like, give me a big hug, and it's like, you know, and I'm glad I did talk to her about it, because she's she's not an adult, but she's one of the people that I'm closest to in my life, you know, and it's like, I don't want to hide that from her. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, to bring this to a really lovely thing that literally just happened a few days ago with Wesley and his family. So we
Wesley.
Yes, Wesley. So we all went up to Pride, right? Yeah. On Bristol Pride, which has a march through town, this beautiful, like, amazing celebration, huge, like, thousands of people. My daughter was dancing in that. She does that most years as part of this dance class. So that was cool. I was like filming her. It was quite like hot, and like I was like carrying all these bags, but it was wicked. It was the first, because we used to go anyway. First year where I'm like kind of like out, you know? Yeah. And like, I'm at Pride and I can like enjoy it for what it is. Yeah. So it was really amazing. I was like dancing around with everyone and this and that. And then, so we have the parade in the morning, and then me and Stevie go off and have a break, get out the sun, because it was on the same day you had, same day you had the Groans Brigade. That's what it's called, right? The Groans Brigade?
Volterol.
The Volterol, yeah.
Dadlands
yeah.
Groans Brigade.
Which I definitely want to come to next year.
You need to.
As long as it don't clash with Pride. No. But yeah, and then so in the evening, I go up to this part of Bristol called Clifton Downs, which is these big like fields, like really beautiful, and there's like a mini festival there as part of Pride. And Wes is up there, so I was like, you know, I was really looking forward to this day, because I just wanted some friends to be there so I could like have a beer, enjoy it, and soak it all up, because I was like, fuck, I need that. Do you know what I mean? It's like a feel-good day. And actually, like, one thing that I've noticed about Pride and why it's there, and I really noticed it this year, so June was like Pride month. And so they had, I was just there working from home, and I hear these stories come on, which are from like LGBT like artists or DJs, play some music, and then they talk about their life experience and this and that. And like, I was like, fuck, I just tuned into these stories and I could really relate to them, because like, sometimes in like the sort of predominantly straight world, you feel like this kind of a bit of an odd one out, and like a lot of the like what you see on TV or what you see at the movies, or it's all kind of like heterosexual stuff, which is like, it's cool, like I get it, but it's like it can be a little bit alienating to someone who doesn't fit into that category. And so like just to hear like all this amazing stuff coming out, I could just really relate to these stories, like whatever it is, like someone's either struggle or whatever, you know, or their happy story of them realizing who they are or something. I was like, whoa. So yeah, we go up to Pride and we meet Wes, and it'd been a bit of a hot, sticky day of me like running around, like, you know, getting a bit stressed about anything, as you can do in this heat. And I go up to the little festival. I find Wes. He like hands me a beer, and then we like go over and they like have like music and stuff. They had Kim Wilde. Right? They have these cool loads of cool music, and so she's there playing. Sun's kind of like almost setting. It got a bit cooler. I'm there with Wes, like having a beer, and our kids are like playing. They sort of know each other a little bit, and he's got this lovely little daughter called Mabel. So Stevie and Mabel are playing, and like that's the best thing when you're with your mates. Your kids are happy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, so I had come out to Wes a few weeks ago, but in a night when we were both really pissed, right? And Wes, when he gets drunk, sometimes falls asleep, as you probably know.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure.
Or steals spliffs off people. I've seen that.
I wasn't sure if he had remembered.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't spoke about it since, because I hadn't really seen him. So I was like, cool, I'm going to like just make sure he knows.
Confirm it.
Yeah. So like, sometimes it takes me a beer or two to get to that stage. So like, we're having a few beers, and I'm like, hey, Wes, do you remember like what I said to you a few weeks ago when we were pissed? And he was like, yeah, man, of course I do. And then he was like, you said it again on Go Skate Day again when I was really pissed, and so was he. And I was like, oh shit. And he was like, yeah, man. He was like, don't worry. Like, he just said like the most lovely, supportive stuff, right? And like, and then we talked about this as well, right? Because obviously this is a thing coming on, talking about it on here.
So did you tell him that you were going to come here?
Yeah.
That little fucking bitch didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Surprise.
I know. I know. It's a Brain Drain exclusive. Yeah. The title, the gayest podcast yet.
In that zone.
What were we saying?
So Wes just goes, look, Tim, don't worry. Like, we've got you. We've got like, you know, the skate community is gonna, you know, just filling me with confidence about it all. And like, he was like, you know, and he's like, there's no rush to work anything out. Like, just be who you want to be. Work, you know, it doesn't matter if you're not entirely sure what's going on yet. Like, you'll get there. And he was like, and I was like, yeah. I want to talk about it on the podcast, but I'm sort of like not sure. Do you know what I mean? But and he was like, dude, you've got to do it. And like, I was like, yeah. I was thinking like, because you know, there's plenty of people out there who have probably got similar stories, right? And sadly, some of them might not have been able to realize their true self yet. And I know from experience that when you hear a story you can relate to, it fucking helps a hell of a lot, right? With whatever it is, like, and I was just like, fuck, like, whoa, he gave me this boost. And I was like, I was going to talk about it anyway, but he gave me that reassurance and just general love and reassurance. And I was like, wow, amazing. And then like, I talked to Wes's partner, Jo, who's lovely, his wife. And she didn't, I think he might have told her, but she, you know, I hadn't spoke to her about it. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to talk to Jo now. Like, so every time I sort of come out to a new person, I just can't stop smiling. It's like an amazing feeling. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, Jo, has Wes told you about what's going on with me? And I think she didn't want her to think that they'd been talking about it. So like, she was like, no, but I think she might have known. But I said, yeah, so da-da-da. And I sort of like, yeah, I think I'm not straight. I'm like either gay or bisexual. I'm like, you know. And she was like, oh, Tim. And she just gave me this massive hug. And she really acknowledged like how horrible that must have been to kind of hold it all in for so long. And like, I was like, oh, Jo. And I like started, you know, crying a bit, but like crying happiness, like letting out this emotion. And I was like, fuck, like, wow. And then, and it was just, a lovely moment. And I was like, wow, I'm like out to both these people I'm with. Yeah. And then like, so part of trying to deal with this is like, I don't really know that many people from the LGBT community. I don't, you know, my ex-partner has some really nice gay friends, but that's like too close to home. I don't, you know. So I was like, I need to get to know some more gay people and, you know, just be around the community a bit more. thankfully I actually live in the gay part of Bristol right now, right? Which was pure coincidence. I'd moved out of my family home and the first flat that came up was in this place. And it's a really cool flat and I've got a lovely landlady and it's just happens to be right by Old Market, which is traditionally like the gay part of Bristol, which just means that there's like gay friendly bars and you get to see gay couples walking around a bit more, which as a gay person can make you feel cool, like it's comforting. It's nice.
Yeah, of course.
Especially when you're like, whoa, a bit like, you know, going through it all. So part of that process, I'd called up an old friend who I used to work with in the bar who was a gay guy. And I thought, and he always used to come out and like hang out with us and he seemed like a really nice guy. And I was like, fuck it. So I called him up and last few weeks we've just been hanging out and I've like met his partner and this and that. And anyway, he comes to the Pride Festival as well. Turns out he knows Jo, Wes's wife.
Nice.
So there's this lovely little scene going on, right? And for like a good few hours, I'm having a few beers, the kids are having fun, the sun's setting, the music's going. And I'm like, I really appreciated them making the effort to be there because that gave me a little slice of like what my life can be like. Like, you know, once I'm not hiding anything anymore and I'm with these people that, you know, I really care about and it's a lovely moment. So I had a good few hours of that. Then we strolled back across the park. Sun's setting a bit more. Kids are doing cartwheels. It was just like an amazing, amazing evening. And I didn't quite realise, but I got home and I was just like buzzing, like knackered and really hot, but buzzing. And then the next morning, something quite profound happened. I started like processing it all. And I was realising like, wow, that felt so amazing. That's what my life can be like once I fully kind of, you know, open up about everything. And like, it was just incredible. I was like so grateful to them. And I go out on my little terrace of like I've got a little terrace on my flat and I'm like having a little coffee in the sun next morning. And I'm like, I feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm like, wow, like it feels like such a relief. And then this song comes on the radio, right? Which is, I don't know if you've ever seen True Romance, the film, like the Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. So there's a song, there's like a Hans Zimmer tune that comes on at the beginning and it comes on at the end when she's got like this monologue about what's happened.
When she's saying like, you're so cool.
Yeah, it's called You're So Cool. And it sort of goes like, no one's been able to get it from my rendition, but I'll try it, right? So it goes like this. It's kind of like on a xylophone. It goes. Yeah, it's like the. Yeah. So that comes on, and I'm there like feeling completely like euphoric, amazing, like coffee in the sun on this, and I'm just like, and I can hear like my own monologue because in that bit, so Patricia Arquette starts going, oh, and amongst all the shooting and the violence at the end of this film, she's like, I'm so amazed at how calm I was, and I just had these 3 words going through my head. You're so cool. You're so cool. And I was like, my little monologue started going. And it was like, today is the start of the rest of my life with this song coming on. Right. And I was like, whoa, it's fucking mental. So I mean, it's been a struggle, and I can't say I'm fully there yet, but it's like, wow.
Well, it sounds like you're getting there.
If you're not fully there yet, you are.
Yeah, exactly. Like know, I'm sort of I haven't sort of met anyone or gone out on any dates or anything like that. I'm just sort of like trying to process it all, take it in my own time, and just kind of, it's weird because I'm going through all this whilst having just moved out of a family home. So I'm getting used to like living on my own, getting used to seeing my daughter a bit less, although we're 50-50, which is great. So I still see Stevie loads and she loves where I live and we have a nice time, but it's like such a mixture of emotions still. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but thankfully with the support of good people, good friends, and actually you guys as well. It was really nice, how you've sort of accepted me coming.
I'm fucking on
I'm super hyped.
I'm on it that you'd come on to talk about it.
For sure, it's
like,
rad.
What an honour that
like,
you felt this was
100%.
the place to do it.
Yeah, totally. It just popped into my head over when there was like whispers of me coming on. I was like,
the timing is right.
Yeah, it all fell into place. So I was like, and it's not like I, have to go talk about it all. It was just like something I would have thought it was a good idea to speak about.
I guess it's part of the process, isn't it? It's like you're doing these things to
exactly. And also now, like, because when I've talked to about 10 or 12 like friends, and I've like gone out, met them for a beer, and like before they know, I'm like, should we go to the pub or should we go for a coffee? And then I'm like building up the confidence to speak to them, and I'm like, cool, I've done that enough times now, so like, fuck it, get it out on the internet.
Well, no, I'm beyond honoured that you'd come on and consider us like
it means
to be.
A lot.
And then it also goes to like Wes as well to you say like, because he could have been like, no, just talk skating to him. But
totally.
Like it's quite nice that Wes probably thinks that of us as well, that you can come on and say. 'Cause we've, like when you turn, because obviously we spoke about it prior to the podcast, but like we've had a lot of people on talking about their mental struggles, and we've had messages from it.
Yeah.
And it's like quite an emotional thing for us to have.
I'm straight, yeah.
And so, I can guarantee that you talking about that,
yeah,
there will be somebody who either watches this or listens to it who it will strike a chord with.
Yeah.
And they will get some help.
Yeah,
speak
exactly.
to a therapist, and then you know the good that comes from that. So
100%.
Yeah.
I think as well, obviously, it's a testament to how strong of a person you are as well to be able to come on and do this. And obviously, every other guest that we've had that's talked about something,
it's heavy shit,
whether it's this sort of subject matter or the mental health.
Well, it's your personal life,
and I think it shows people that are watching that, like anybody that is struggling with that sort of thing, they can be as strong as that 100%. As well.
Yeah,
it's just
totally. Yeah.
When the time's right.
Yeah.
And the time's different for everybody, isn't
exactly.
it?
It's
just recognising when it's your time.
Yeah, totally.
To do what you need to do.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think it's a testament to how strong a person you are to come on and
really
do that as well. But obviously, it's the biggest honour for us, you doing that as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
dude.
Yeah.
Means a lot.
Warm, fuzzy feelings.
Yeah,
you know, because if you like love skating and you make these rad films, and it's like you've been doing that whilst holding something inside, it's like, how amazing are you going to be after you've let that out? And you can, I don't want to be like, let that creative expressive freedom out, but if you felt like that was a barrier holding you back, now that's gone. It's like, if it's going to make you feel like a better rad person, I'm fucking all down for it.
Oh, totally,
100%.
man. Yeah, like there's definitely, there's a bright future out there for me now. And for a long time, it was horrible having all that repression. And even, I'll be honest, like still now, there's a bit of a journey for me in like someone who's kind of, lived a predominantly straight life for 44 years. And, I sort of, even though I now don't have any pressure on me, there's still a bit of a process in like extracting that part, the other part of myself out of this life, There's
going to be a lot to unpack because like you say, it's been 44 years where you've been trying to work this out. And now you're coming to that point now where you're going to be digesting it, trying to understand it, and making. You
sort of have a lot of there's this like internalized homophobia that I kind of have in me, where I kind of I've grown up in a world that had homophobic elements of it, and that's kind of burnt into me, and I'm trying to get through that as well. There's all this stuff going on, like, and I'm definitely making progress and stuff, and I think like.
You're on that journey, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not a race, is it?
No, exactly.
Like, it's not like you're going anywhere.
Yeah, totally.
You've got all the time in the world to
100%.
to figure things out.
And I can fully, relax now.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's so good.
And I would never have, been scared to talk about it for so long. And even as like 6 months ago, to think back to then, to think now I'm here talking about it with you guys, it's like, that's progress. Like, and if I can
insanely good progress. Like,
thank you.
It's definitely like for our own gratification. It's definitely a landmark in guests that we've had on the show that have been extremely honest.
Yeah.
So I'm really stoked that you've came on and been honest about that, because like we said earlier, when we kind of spoke about it a little bit, me and Toby were like, me, Toby and Sean were like, what the fuck? And then we all got up and had a big group hug.
Of course. That was
yes.
amazing. That was amazing for me, because like to have that reassurance before I'd even started the podcast. And actually, I didn't know you guys were going to be giving me, it's like, that was so nice. And it made me buzz in for the rest of the it made me relax into everything. So
it's been a fucking great podcast as well.
Fucking too right.
Amazing.
Overwhelming in a good way.
I know,
I'm quite emotional about it now.
Yeah. We should go and have a cry together.
Yeah. Well, I want to go. I want to go see some Nollie action.
Oh
that's what I want to see.
I'm so up for a skate.
Yeah, we got time for a skate.
Yeah,
on that note, should we?
Do you feel like?
I think that's a lovely place to end it. Yeah.
If there's anything else that comes up, we can always do a check-up, stop and chat part 2.
Yeah, exactly. And if people are struggling, just reach out to your friends, reach out to therapists. If you've got no one else to reach out to me on Instagram if you want.
Yeah.
Like, I know what it's like to go through that shit. And
what are you on Insta? Is it at Tim Crawley Flicks?
Crawley Flicks.
Yeah. And like, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, but
no, but you might be able to give some advice to get them in, point them in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, what people might need.
Yeah.
On that note,
thank you for coming
big
on.
ups, Tim Crawley.
Guys.
Thank you for talking about everything, and we
Buzz
love
it.
you. And we're stoked that you
Thanks,
came
man.
on.
Stoked.